see the final score, we track the revenue stream. Welcome to the show that treats the sports world like the multi-billion-dollar business it is. We dissect the ownership deals, the television right battles, the NIL impact, and the media figures driving the entire narrative. From Wall Street to the locker room, we follow the money and the people who control the message. Welcome to Press Row, the business of sports, right here on the Empty the Bench Network. Now, here's your hosts, Callan McClurg and Nick Morgasen. Hello again, my friends. Happy Wednesday and welcome to Press Row. As always, your Grand Circle tour over the next 3 hours of all things sports business and sports media news. Coming at you live on the Empty the Bench Network, as always, on YouTube and on Twitter. He, of course, is Nick Morgasen. I'm Callan McClurg, joining you here today on this August 19, 2026. Mr. Morgasen, going so many different directions over the course of the next 3 hours, man. It's a great day to be on PR. How are we doing today?
I'm trying to hang in. There's so much news going on in this opening salvo of this show. I'm trying to keep up with everything that we're doing here, but we got a heck of a show. We're going to even do stories that we didn't expect to be part of the show today. So you might get a little bit of a longer show than expected, but we got a lot to discuss. But before we do all that, make sure you like and follow the program at Press Row ETB on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Well, almost TikTok, maybe. At Press Row ETB. Follow the Empty the Bench Network at ETB Network, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at ETB Network. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network, and do your part to help us grow this network, which hit a significant milestone, which we'll talk about in 2 minutes or so. But we're going through the journey. We hit the 3,000 watch hour platform as Callan disappeared. But we have a lot to get into, but we hit the 3,000 watch hour platform. Hello.
Wrong button. Continue, please.
But we hit a massive milestone, 3,000 watch hours. So go do your part, youtube.com/ETB Network. Check out everything that we are doing. So you talked about this a little bit. I've talked about this a little bit. Where do we want to start now as we're together to discuss this thing?
I mean, do we start with the first three stories of the day that just came across the wire? Or do we go down the 3,000-hour rabbit hole?
I think we should go down the 3,000-hour rabbit hole because once we start the show, there's really no stopping.
Sure. If you want to get started, you can.
So obviously, you've heard it across a lot of shows that we're doing. We hit a massive goal. We hit 3,000 watch hours on YouTube, and actually, we're past that goal already. But that is a massive milestone. Okay, it is very hard. And I did the math. It's 180,000 minutes of listen time on YouTube. And we can't thank everybody enough. Everyone who's come by and watched all our shows on our YouTube channel. And it means that people actually care about what we're actually putting out content-wise. Because it's just, you said it well last night. It's a labor of love what we're doing right now until we hit 4,000 watch hours officially. 3,000 allows us to do all the super chats and the super stickers and the super thanks and all these things, channel memberships and so on and so forth. But the real goal in the long scheme of things is to eventually get to 4,000 watch hours and to be able to get YouTube revenue so we can do even more.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible things. More projects that we have in the works as well. And look how big this network has grown. Like, and I could talk about network progression, but we were a recorded network You even came on before this became a fully live network
Yeah,
over a year ago,
April last year.
which is scary to think, right? That it's been over a year now being here for you.
Yeah.
But we made the transition to live, and we have not looked back really at all. And I think we made the right move. And now we are set to hit that 4,000 watch hour goal very quickly, the way I'm seeing it. And that's kind of where I would open up here. What about you?
Yeah, I think I made my thoughts known inside the cranium on Tuesday that this is mainly, a labor of love. I think I may have actually said more though, Nick, at the very end. Normally this time of the year, I'd be gone. I wouldn't be doing all, podcast content because of, the work schedule starting and college athletics starting, hockey season coming. And that normally I'd be gone from now until May. And then I would just, do a bit of, a couple of months here and there, then go back into my bubble for, 10, 8 or 6 to 8 to 10 months and stuff like that. And no, I mean, this is definitely a labor of love. It's been a full-fledged team effort from start to finish. And, this is only, like I said, though, Nick, on Sunday in the lounge, this is only a stepping stone. And now you have to go and get the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, sorry for my phone going off. But this is the first goal, first progression. I look at this as a two-step process. 3,000 is great. That opens up all the first steps of monetization, which to kind of update, we had to go through the whole Google AdSense thing, which is a pain in the butt. It takes about 2 weeks. It could be less. It all depends on if Google, which is the subsidiary for YouTube, is in a good mood and wants to do things faster. But that will allow us to open up channel memberships and all that stuff and be allowed to do things that will allow more interaction with everything that we are doing, in a sense. And we'll be able to do more shows and more. We have a great idea. I mean, I guess if you want to talk about, now that we're in the 3,000 phase, I think you should talk about the little Borscht Left or Darkish idea for do it like in a 2-minute description phase, because we don't want to give the whole thing away.
Yeah, the show's called ETB Locked In, and we're going to be having members of our host team come inside of our platform, be locked in a sports virtual jail, and they have to, in a way, pull off escape room tactics by figuring out sports trivia and sports knowledge to end the stream. It could go for 90 minutes or it could go for 9 hours. Who knows?
Now, we want to try to avoid, if we can, we might have to put time limits on the room just because we don't want people sitting in here for 9 hours. But we're definitely going to find ways to make it fun, make it proactive, allow the chat to be involved. That's a big thing that we've been working on too, trying to get more chat, more live involved into the program. So ETB Locked In is going to be an idea that allows the fan community to kind of get involved. Now, we're not going to allow stupidity answers inside the live chat. We don't want that, because the idea is that they want to work their way out of the room and eventually find their way out.
Yes.
But that's just one of many, many ideas that we are working on now that we've hit 3,000 watch hours and have the ability to do things that we were not able to do now.
Right.
So congrats to everybody here. 3,000 watch hours. We have, like I said, we have 17 shows across this network, and it's probably going to be more sooner or later, because we have some other ideas down the pike that we are building towards. But I don't know. Is there anything left to really say about it before we move into the actual show?
Not really that I can think of, honestly.
Yes.
Breaking news, Nick, just coming across from ESPN soccer writer Jeff Carlisle within the last couple of minutes. But now, Nick, there is some friction between the San Jose Earthquakes and their NWSL counterparts of Bay FC. for Jeff Carlisle's writing made within the last couple of minutes. In short, that Bay FC of the National Women's Soccer League has now criticized the MLS's San Jose Earthquakes' hiring of Gavin Wilkinson as a consultant for the franchise, telling ESPN via a statement that the actions and history associated with Mr. Wilkinson's time in pro soccer are inconsistent with the standards we hold for those entrusted to lead in our sport, open and close quote. This is due to the fact, Nick, of the 2022 Sally Yates report that saw numerous staff members involved with abusing players in women's soccer, being fired from their positions of power, which, of course, people that are fans of the NWSL know very well, that at the time that Wilkinson was the president of soccer ops for both the Portland Thorns and the Portland Timbers, he was fired at age 52, who is 52 years old, was in fact fired 4 years ago from his position at both clubs following the release of the Yates report, which detailed systematic verbal, emotional, and sexual abuse by multiple NWSL managers and also front office members as well. Though Wilkinson was not sanctioned as a result of the reported findings, he was found to have provided former Portland Thorns manager Paul Riley, who the report said had engaged in a sexual course of Thorn players, both of two Portland Thorn players, with a positive job reference to the Western New York Flash in 2016. Riley was then hired for the Post in Western New York, and then Wilkinson was already involved in the controversy regarding an alleged DV issue with then Timbers midfielder Andy Polo in May of 2021, Genesis Alacone, and also that is the mother of Polo's children. So not a good look, Nick, when one team looks the other way when you share a marketplace like this.
I mean, how many times have we heard these issues before when it comes to allegations of misconduct and all these things? I mean, and this is not the first time we've heard it in soccer.
No, absolutely not, as we know very well.
So now, I don't want to jump down the throat again because, again, we don't know what the allegations are to the fullest extent. But it's not a good look. I'll say that much.
No.
So, again, innocent till proven guilty, not guilty till proven innocent, like most people in the media do. I'm not saying he didn't do it. I'm just saying that let's not jump to a conclusion before we actually know all the facts to the actual story.
With that said, though, Nick, we have three other stories up at top of the show. We'll kind of run through these all pretty quickly here. Nick, just when you thought you did not hear enough of Pat McAfee on ESPN, well, he's now a part of Monday Night Countdown. Congratulations. Have fun.
Well, when you make 60 to 65 million a year, now part of that has to do with the licensing and the production of the show. I know that. But when you make 60 to 65 million dollars a year plus whatever is being paid out to his staff, you don't think they're going to take advantage of that as a whole? And basically, it's like the Stephen A effect. We got to put you on every freaking show there is. And we have to put you on we have to make you do guest spots. We have to make you do this and that and the other. And now you're in a scenario where he's now going to be on Monday Night Football. He's going to be on College Game Day on Saturdays. He's got his show Monday through Friday, which is 12 to 3. Look at the amount of time he's going to be putting in.
A lot of
every
work,
week.
baby.
So am I totally surprised
No.
by this? No. I think that this is a cliche saying that I learn all the time. Get your money's worth when you pay for something.
And ESPN is sure doing that, if you ask me.
So what is the theory I tell you all the time? When you pay a salary in radio or TV, you have to make back at least 3-4 times what you make for it to be profitable. So if they're paying 60 to 65 million dollars, they need to make back somewhere between 180 and 200 million dollars on Pat McAfee to make that deal worthwhile, which is kind of a crazy notion if you think about it in the scheme of things. But if you're paying someone 60 to 65 million dollars, you're going to cough up and you're going to show up on every freaking show that ESPN asks you to show up for. It's kind of a common sense scenario. And I'm trying to think about the amount of time. So he's got 3 hours a day. That's 15 hours just in his show. College Game Day, I think, is 3 hours on Saturday from 9 to noon Eastern, I think.
Yeah.
So that's 18 hours. Then he's got Monday Night Football, which I think is 2 hours, I think.
It's a 20-hour work week.
Which is not even, it's barely part-time, if you ask me. But that doesn't include all the travel that has to be, because remember, he's out of Indianapolis when he's doing his show. So he's got to travel to all the Monday Night Football sites. He's got to travel to the College Game Day sites. His show usually goes on the road. So that's travel that has to be done. So everyone says, oh, it's 20 hours. What do you mean? You have to factor in all the traveling that is involved.
Factor all the external factors have to be also credited, accounted for here.
Now, do I think it's ridiculous that he's making $60 to $65 million a year? No one should make $60 to $65 million a year. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the most powerful person. I don't even care if you were the Dalai Lama. I don't care. Like $60 to $65 million is absurd. Athletes should not make $60 to $65 million. I've gotten into an argument multiple times with people during COVID saying that doctors should make more than athletes.
Yeah.
And people said to me, what are you talking about? And I'm like, who's saving lives here? The doctors or the athletes?
Oh, the doctor.
Oh, but the athletes bring more value.
No,
this is not a value thing. Are athletes performing life-saving maneuvers?
No.
Doctors don't get paid enough. Now, the average doctor gets paid well, but
you know who else doesn't get paid well enough in this country, Nick?
Teachers?
Yes.
Hi, Tom.
Professor Albano.
I just think that I get why they're doing it, but it's that scenario we've been talking about for a long time. It's Pat McAfee, Stephen A. Smith. What's the word I'm looking for? Oversaturation. Now, that's the biggest problem we are running into currently.
Yep.
So I don't know how we fix it, but get used to it. You're only going to see more of Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee because that's what drives the numbers. I said it on Cranium to you last night that this is not our grandfather's ESPN anymore, where you got Sports Center from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., essentially, before they added in all the overnight stuff. We don't have the Bob Lees anymore. We don't have John Saunders. Who else did I? Linda Cohn. Like all those names that did legitimate highlights for Sports Center. Sports Center, in my opinion, is dead. You don't need a highlight-driven show anymore in sports media. It's just not a reality. And
no, I mean, this is a fair point, though, but Zan brings up that he says, I think it's great that McAfee is on Monday Night Countdown. I think it'll drive more viewers from my generation to watch him and maybe watch the product.
Right. And I'm not saying what Zan is saying is wrong, but how much Pat McAfee do I need to see during the week?
True.
I like the Pat McAfee show. I'm not debating. I like the uncensored nature of sports media. I came from a world where I had to deal with the FCC and radio for 4 years, where they didn't even allow you to say the word cock, even though it's a chicken in most people's minds in radio.
I mean, it's the damn mascot for the University of South Carolina, for heaven's sakes.
But we used to have arguments at the radio station because even like what I like to call the clean curse words, they made us censor out over on. Yes, I'm not kidding you. They would make us censor certain words. So that's why I think the McAfee show is refreshing, because when he first went on the air, do you remember they censored the crap out of his show when it went on air?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Now they don't. They just let it fly, which I think was the right move. Because if you're going to censor the show, it's not the Pat McAfee show anymore.
Yeah.
You get all the guests. You get Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to appear again on the show now
We'll
that he's
see
in
if he does.
Pittsburgh. But like Nick Saban appeared on the show. He gets all the big guests, which is what ESPN wants. That's why they're paying $60 to $65 million, because they know they're going to get the younger views, like Zan is saying. But how much do I need to see of him is the debatable question. 12 to 3 Eastern, Monday through Friday. 3 hours on College Game Day. Now, Zan is a college football nut, so to him, there's no difference. And then, when does it become fatigue? Does it become fatigue once it gets to Monday on Monday Night Football? Is that where the fatigue kind of hits? Or no?
I would think so.
Now, they haven't said what his role is. He could be sitting at the desk. I don't know. But they said it's a replacement for Ryan Clark. That's all that Marchand has said so far. We'll see. Am I the biggest fan of this? No. I'd rather him just... His bread and butter is doing his show and being on College Game Day.
Yeah.
He's turned College Game Day into the best college football product during the season ever. There is nothing better. And don't give me what's the other one on Fox called?
Big Noon Kickoff.
Big Noon Kickoff is a joke compared to College Game Day. And don't give me Dave Portnoy. I could care less. And I'm a Barstool fan, and I still would take College Game Day over Big Noon Kickoff. So it's all a matter of preference.
All right, Nick, we're a little bit past the time here to get the show started. But, of course, Nick, we lead off, though, in the National Basketball Association up in Inglewood, California, Nick, as league sources indicate that the NBA's independent forensic audit has cleared the Los Angeles Clippers team owner, Steve Ballmer, and the franchise of allegations regarding salary cap circumvention. After nearly 11 months of dragging out this entire process, the league's investigation examined whether off-the-book payments and corporate sponsorship guarantees, mainly tied to the technology company Aspiration, plus Daktronics and Biongo Wireless, have been funneled to Kawhi Leonard's camp to bypass maximum salary constraints. The auditors found no substantial evidence linking Ballmer or team executive leadership to direct cap violations or improper third-party financial agreements. The clearance provides massive administrative relief for the Clippers organization as they prep for the upcoming season, as they avoid, right now at least, draft pick forfeiture or severe executive suspensions. Nick, does this league clearance, though, fully restore confidence in the NBA salary cap oversight or highlight how difficult it is for league auditors to police complex third-party corporate sponsorship deals made in modern-day sports? But, Nick, I still think that there is something lurking out there in the ocean.
This smells. This situation smells. The question you put is, does this league clearance fully restore the confidence in the NBA salary cap? No. Hell no, it doesn't. And my favorite person of all time, where is that? I can't put that banner up because it's in the other thing.
I know what you're talking about.
But I had and if Tom's watching, he would appreciate it. Thank you, Bass's ass. Mike Bass, who's the head of PR for the NBA, and I'm going to pull that statement up to read it to you. So in case you didn't know, ESPN put out an article essentially saying that the NBA cleared Steve Ballmer and the Clippers of any wrongdoing, essentially. And my favorite NBA spokesperson of all time, Mike Bass. Yes, that's sarcasm, people. Get with the picture, please. So he wrote, ESPN's article regarding the LA Clippers investigation, for which the NBA declined to cooperate, contains numerous and significant inaccuracies. The result in this matter will be made clear once the investigation is concluded. Okay, you just admitted that the investigation is still ongoing. So we still have no clearance on whether there was cap circumvention or there wasn't. And the NBA, if this is true, is now hiding. We didn't solve a damn thing with this article.
No.
And Shams and Baxter
Ramona
Holmes
Shelburne.
and Ramona Shelburne and
Pablo Torre.
Don Venata, I think, was also part of this, who did the Balco stuff. are all saying that they're not backing down from their reporting. So
Neither
that
is Pablo
means
Torre.
right, and Pablo Torre, someone is lying. Someone is lying somewhere here. If the ESPN report is not going to back down and the NBA is claiming inaccuracy, we're playing a game of virtual chicken, and we got to get to the bottom of who's right and who's wrong.
Which I think, Nick, kind of goes back to the talking point we had last week or during the last bonus hour of Press Row, that you hear the rumbling that this might take till next year to finally figure out. The longer this goes, Nick, I think it goes to my point, though, which I made the mention on ETB Sports on Tuesday and in the Cranium on Tuesday, that something was telling me that they would come up with some phony baloney remark like to say, oh, we found nothing. There's nothing to see here. Move on with your day. Where, again, as I said, though, on Tuesday, Nick, this reeks of collusion involving Adam Silver and Steve Ballmer. And if that is the case, then you need to remove this man from office as the NBA commissioner. Case closed.
So I told you I had a theory. I said it on ETB Sports yesterday. And let me be clear, I have no evidence of this. I have no factual information. This is literally a speculation. I'm speculating on this next thought that I think Adam Silver is covering for Steve Ballmer.
Gotta be.
And people, but Nick, what's the theory behind him covering? Do you see how much Steve Ballmer is worth? Steve Ballmer is worth close to $170 billion. Okay? You think Adam Silver wants to kick Steve Ballmer out of the league?
No, absolutely not.
If you think that Adam Silver wants to kick Steve Ballmer out of the league, I have a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn. Okay? That's a very old reference for some people. Another reference, I could say, I'm going to go talk to the Indian casino owners and see if I can go buy a casino from them. Like, my point is that something stinks. I don't know what it is. And if Kawhi plays before this investigation is over, that is sacrilege on this league. If he's allowed to play before this investigation is figured out. And I mean that sincerely.
Christie says, does Silver fear Ballmer?
To be honest, I don't think Adam Silver fears anyone. David Stern was more of a players commissioner. Or actually, excuse me, an owner's commissioner.
Yes.
Silver is more of an owner's guy. I don't know if he's afraid, though.
This went to my point, I think, though, Nick, inside the Cranium on Tuesday about Silver and Ballmer. Regarding the notion of, again, we have this news again that this investigation appears to have found nothing involving aspiration, nothing involving Daktronics, and nothing involving Biongo Wireless, who is a telephone company who helps with the phone service at Intuit Dome. Of course, Daktronics built the scoreboard for them, and also with aspiration. But I really wonder, though, Nick, about, I said that, though, that, I think Kawhi needs to be popped for a full year. I know that I even said, though, well, hey, if this is, circumvention, you really can't do much to the player because of the Joe Smith issue. But this one, though, I think is a little bit of a different story. Than
but
Joe
there's
Smith
wires
back in
crossed.
2000.
But there's wires crossed. Joe Smith was not involved, really. It was his agent, and it was the ownership, the GM, that was involved in the Timberwolves situation. Kawhi, his uncle Dennis, who is now all crossed up in this thing. By the way, you said it, I've said it. Uncle Dennis needs to be banned from the NBA, not allowed to do any business with the NBA. I don't care who it is. His ass needs to be thrown to the curb and not be allowed to do any business. He is a sketchy individual. You've said it multiple times that just from experience of it alone, because Kawhi went to San Diego State.
Yes.
There's some sketchy dealings. I've talked about this many times that when he was talking to the Lakers, his uncle Dennis was trying to get ownership out of the Lakers, trying to get improper benefits to come play for the Lakers. It was like a shakedown situation, what Kawhi was doing to the Buss family, even though I could give two craps about the Buss family now.
Well, we'll talk about the Buss family in a bit. Zan also has a great point, though, Nick. Fellas, it's similar. The NBA is screwing itself. Do not be surprised if the ratings start to stumble because of this crap going on.
No, if the ratings are going to drop, it's going to be because of other issues that streaming, finding the games now that a conference finals is going to be fully on Prime Video. That might be an issue more for streaming.
And I understand it's the Eastern Conference that it's going to be on Prime Video.
So it's not going to affect them ratings wise. Now, is there going to be a cry of public persona for the NBA because of the way they're acting? Sure. With all the gambling stuff, which by the way disappeared, and we haven't heard anything except for that one guy that pled guilty for being part of the gambling. But why are we not addressing all these issues and getting them figured out? We're in August. The season starts in 2 months.
You know what's funny, by the way, too, Nick? Kawhi is still listed on the Clippers roster on the team website.
Right, because he wasn't traded officially. So
the trade is still being held up because of the investigation.
And again, if I'm the Raptors, I run for the hills and I don't complete this trade. If I'm any team in the NBA, I don't complete this trade. But I know better than most people. You're going to get 2 or 3 idiotic teams that are going to be desperate for Kawhi Leonard's services, and they're going to try and complete this trade. But you better be careful, because the NBA says anyone who takes him on could take the punishments.
Yeah, which still to me makes no sense whatsoever.
But I think Adam Silver is covering for Steve Ballmer. I do. He doesn't want $170 billion walking outside the doors of the NBA. That's money that he wants his hands on so that the NBA can grow to as big as the NFL. That's what they want.
And they eventually put a team in Mexico City, Mexico.
I mean, is that possible? Sure. But
yeah, they're already doing it in the NBA G League.
But think about it. They're protecting all of LA. They haven't said Adam hasn't said anything about the whole Lakers family dispute situation. He hasn't said anything about Ballmer. He keeps promising us dates for when this Ballmer Kawhi situation was supposed to be finished. We don't have any answers. Also, conflict of interest, which I brought up to you last night. Aspiration, Daktronics. What was the name?
Wireless.
Bianco Wireless. What's the comparison of all three? They're sponsors at the Intuit Dome for the Clippers. And you're telling me that there's no evidence that something didn't go down? Are you kidding me, Adam?
Yeah, that's the part that even is driving me nuts. Like, how can you have like these 3 glaring issues right in front of you and it's like a bug on a windshield?
And by the way, and I'm going to continue to say this too, Pablo Torre has more information than your damn league does. How is that possible? That Pablo Torre has more access to legal documents than the NBA and Adam Silver do.
Before we move on, by the way, I wanted to give a shout out. I forgot the name of the YouTube commenter who said that we were one of the only people away from Pablo covering this whole Kawhi thing. So we appreciate you for that comment. But I mean, we're trying. I mean, we're kind of working off what we know from Pablo's reporting and other sources. But we thank you for sticking with us during the Kawhi Leonard issues, and we'll have more whenever there's a actual verdict actually given by this whole thing.
If it wasn't for just everything that was going on the past couple of days, because we've been doing a lot of content stuff, we probably would have done another one if we had time for it. But this is not over. This is definitely not over. I do think some of the ESPN reporting is accurate. Do I think the whole thing is accurate, though? No. I think that they were told some stuff by sources that might have not been fully accurate. But I do believe that there is some interpretation issues when it comes to the rules of introducing players to sponsors. But if the sponsors are owned by Steve Ballmer and they're investing... Yes.
WNBA news, Nick.
Are we incidents back down to 0 days?
It's actually a good thing for once.
Okay.
Sophie Cunningham.
Okay.
Tells the media it is time that the league gets a bold commissioner who wants the best for all of the players in the league, per ESPN.
I mean, tell me something I don't know, is what I would say to that. I mean, that also goes to show you that these players don't care anymore if they're insulting the crap out of Kathy Engelbert anymore either, right? I mean,
exactly.
But
with that with that, Nick, we'll move on. We are kind of again behind the eight ball here for the first hour, real quick. But with that, Nick, we mentioned this still on Cranium on Tuesday. But of course, Nick, tributes coming in for Bill Rasmussen, the visionary entrepreneur who helped co-found ESPN all the way back in 1979 alongside his son, Scott Rasmussen. Lost his life on Tuesday after a courageous battle with Parkinson's at the age of 93 years old. Bill and Scott helped revolutionize global media by launching the world's first 24-hour sports TV news network out of Bristol, Connecticut, permanently altering sports consumption and cable TV economics. Tributes, of course, Nick, poured in from across all of the sports broadcasting ecosystem, honoring his audacious idea to buy satellite time when industry experts claimed around-the-clock sports broadcasting would be impossible. Nick, when you do look, though, at the entire landscape of modern sports media today, is Bill Rasmussen's launch of ESPN the single most impactful media innovation ever in the history of sports?
So ESPN will always be remembered as the original 24/7 TV sports platform. Always have, always will. Anyone who says ESPN is not the originator of a 24/7 sports network doesn't understand how the sports media industry evolved and became what it is today. There's no Stephen A. Smith. There's no Pat McAfee. There's none of these stars unless Bill Rasmussen comes and with this idea, which you said properly, because I looked this up too, that was supposed to be a Bristol locally run network, and it grew into the absurdity that it is today. The big large network from Bristol all the way to New York and LA and Miami and Philadelphia and all these different studios that they own to internationally all over the world. This doesn't happen without the $9,000 what was it, debt or whatever he got, and an idea. Everything starts with an idea. Everything we do here starts with an idea that we come up with. But Stephen A. Smith is not what he is today without Bill Rasmussen. Pat McAfee is not what he is today without Bill Rasmussen coming up with the idea to have a 24/7 sports network. So this man deserves gratitude to the 10 billionth degree because of the idea he came up with.
More importantly, Nick, I think what we kind of lose in the shuffle here is that Bill was canned by the WHA or NHL's New England Whalers, who became the Carolina Hurricanes in '96 after the team left Hartford. And again, it was the idea that him and his son pitched, though. And like I made the mention, though, Nick, on training him on Tuesday. You think about this year, Nick, that we lost Ted Turner, who, again, as I made the mention, rolled out the first 24-hour cable news network, hence why it's called CNN, at a time, Nick, where I think a lot of people told Ted, is there enough news, though, to make it a 24-hour station over the course of a full day? But again, Nick, it happened, though, like you said, though, like with an idea, though, but maybe at the right time. Look at when it launched around the late 80s, early 90s. The Gulf War broke out on CNN, for example, and that they've broken all these, global stories over the course of their tenure. And here it's like a cool, like, father-son thing with Bill and Scott Rasmussen. And Bill says, you know what? How about a 24-hour cable sports network? We'll call it ESPN, the Entertainment Sports Programming Network. And we'll go from there and see where we can take this thing across the board. And it went from it was on RCA satellite television to now, Nick, it's in every household almost across this country, even with cord cutting, you still can get ESPN, via the direct-to-consumer or ESPN Plus. And more than anything else, though, Nick, look at how, though, that ESPN has helped sports fans around the world. Soccer, with hockey, with baseball, and what have you.
NBA,
and again,
yeah.
Yeah, and people like Stephen A. and McAfee, they're not, legends in the field of sports broadcasting if it wasn't for ESPN.
There's so many names, and like we talked about, like some guys like that have been laid off. Carl Ravage, 33 something years. I mean, guys that have been legends. Bob Lee, who retired after I think 40 years and at ESPN doing some of the big outside the lines. I mean, if we don't have those shows and we don't have those things, we don't have E60, 30 for 30. Now with PTI still living to this day. I mean, we used to have Around the Horn until they canned that show for politicking reasons. But I miss Sports Center when you would wake up, you'd get the highlights. They would bring on different reporters to talk about what's going on. The way ESPN has unfortunately come, Bill Rasmussen is probably going to spin in his grave eventually when he sees the way this network has become. It's all about TikTok and Instagram and hiring influencers, which is what ESPN has done. I can't remember the name of the woman they just hired. Oh, Freely or Freeney, Katie Freeney, who, when you read the PR, it says we hired her because she's got a huge social media following. It used to be when you wanted to work at ESPN, what is your credentials for covering sports? That doesn't exist anymore.
Nope.
Katie Freeney, I think the thing is that, she has 15 million followers across all her platforms. Is that what it's all about now? It's all about following. It's not about what's my credential to cover these sports. Do I have a journalism background, which unfortunately is a dying breed now in this industry? It's now, can I hold a phone up to do a video? Can I go on StreamYard like we do now and put on a show? How do we package it to make clips once the show is over? This is where the industry is going. And unfortunately, it's no longer about doing the accurate reporting that you and I are so used to being a part of.
Exactly. With that, Nick, we'll spill back over to the NBA and update everyone on what is going on with the almighty Los Angeles Lakers following the massive news on Monday morning of a $12.5 billion agreement to sell the Lakers to Josh Kushner and former Disney CEO Bob Iger. More internal friction is surfacing within the Buss family dynamics once more in ownership structure. Concurrently, though, federal scrutiny surrounding former majority owner Mark Walter has now been ramped up dramatically after initially disclosing that only $1.4 billion in assets from his life insurance companies of Delaware Life and Clear Spring Life were loaned to entities he controlled. Walter revised that figure to $21 billion in regulatory filings. Manhattan, New York federal prosecutors and the SEC are now actively examining whether or not policyholder capital had been leveraged without required disclosures to finance high-profile sports acquisitions of the Lakers, the Sparks, the Dodgers, and also the Professional Women's Hockey League. And also if there's been more legs of the story, though, involving potentially exiting out of the local TV deal for both the Lakers and Dodgers to cover his ass when it came to loans, though. So, Nick, with Mark Walter's loan disclosures ballooning from $1.4 to $21 billion, how concerned should the NBA Board of Governors be about financial contagion impacting past and future franchise sales? But also, Nick, no surprise, here we are again with the Buss family kids being immature children at the Thanksgiving dinner table. Color me shocked.
I just don't know where to start with this because there's two timelines we have to discuss within this story. Where do you want me to react first? Do you want me to react to the Walter loan part of it or the Buss family?
Probably the Walter part because there's been more news that's been coming out over the last 2 days.
All right. So I showed you that document that I came across last night, more on the Dodgers side of things, but he has the fraud claims. The FBI is surrounding his businesses now because of all the insurance fraud, $16 to $21 billion in potential insurance fraud, which, by the way, that's insane. Number one. We read off Delaware Life, Clear Spring Life, all the ones that are involved, who potentially were he basically, for Sportsnet LA, because that's part of this too, they basically paid the money through the insurance companies to get the TV deal, which is still effed up, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of understanding that. So it's their money that they're paying themselves, essentially through life insurance policies.
Right.
This is effed up in every way, shape, or form. It's no longer TV networks paying money. They own Sportsnet LA, and they're paying themselves to essentially stay in business, which doesn't add up.
And, Nick, I'll go to the Buss family side of this again. I made the mentions on Tuesday, Nick. If you take away 2020, what have the Buss family kids done in 13 years
Nothing.
minus 2020? Absolutely nothing since their father passed away. And I made the mention, Nick, though, too, to you and Zan on Tuesday, that, from the time that Jeannie was 19 years old, she had long been like the golden goose of the family amongst her brothers and, of all of her siblings. Where
Nepotism.
Again, Yeah, where I said Jerry literally made her the GM of the LA Strings of World Team Tennis when they got Martina and Macro to play, for WTT
Yeah,
teams in LA, and that they, like I said, they were kind of the West Coast's first family of sports out here. They launched Prime, they launched Prime Ticket back in '85, which was the first, known RSN known to mankind, along with with Cablevision out on the East Coast, for example,
I
and
had
that
it. Yeah.
they basically owned everything in LA at one point, minus the Dodgers. But of course, they had the Lakers, the Forum, the Kings. They had all the fringe and nuanced sports like the Lasers and the LA Aztecs, I think, at one point in time in pro soccer. And then they also had the Blades of Roller Hockey International and the Strings. And Jeannie helped start WOW, which was the women's, the women of wrestling promotion and stuff. But again, though, Nick, as I made the documentation known way back on Small Market months ago about, families running sports teams are usually not the best thing.
Disastrous.
As I said, Nick, since 2017, there's been court documentation that say you can only talk to your brother or sister if you go through the court system. What's up with that?
Well, wait a minute. That's one thing. What about that? The reports are that Jeannie went to one of her brothers and said, "I wish you were never born."
Yeah,
When
that's not right.
this whole thing is a disaster with the Buss family when it comes to now. They sold off the majority to Mark Walters, who then sold it off again to Kushner and Iger. But I have a problem with the Buss family to the point of it's an embarrassment that they're even in this situation. Jeannie Buss is a power hungry, you know what, that doesn't care that she's taking down her brothers and her cousins and everybody who's involved in Lakers ownership. This goes all the way back to 2017 when they went to court and she filed a lawsuit against her own brothers to basically fire them, to get rid of them. This is unbelievable to me. Like, you're a family. You should want to work together to run the organization. But if I'm with my family, I want to do everything with my family, not fight with them when it comes to running the most prominent franchise in NBA history. Jeannie Buss is a joke, okay? An embarrassment to ownership in professional sports. And someone needs to kick her off her high horse because she has too much power.
Yeah, and I think, Nick, it's what I kind of said on Tuesday is that, is that everybody in a way is motivated by something, whether that's fame, fortune, family.
It's not money for her, though.
Money, ego. It could be a lot of different things, though. And, I said, though, again, though, Nick, it's the Lakers have become a utter embarrassment for a franchise that has been held in such high regard because of what Dr. Buss did to revolutionize the NBA from a fan perspective about, I'm going to put seats on the court. You can't tell me otherwise. I'm going to have dancing cheerleaders.
He was an
on
originator.
The sidelines. Yeah, he was the originator of like the Forum Club and like the exclusive VIP clubs at the Forum and the courtside seats and the Laker girls and the Laker band playing the defense chants or the organ player, let's go Laker. Like all that, was a Dr. Buss staple, and that the Lakers did that for the NBA. And then the LA Lasers were the first team that really, Nick, did introductions for sports like we do now. Like you cut the lights, you've got steam, you've got pyro, you've got spotlights, you've got music playing when you introduce the starting lineup. And yes, to Christy's point that Dr. Buss was a visionary, and I don't care if it's, Dr. Buss's wishes about Jeannie being involved, though. Again, take 2020 out of the equation. You've got nothing to hang your hat on in 13 years.
And to be honest, I call that a Mickey Mouse title because essentially they were in the bubble and they got lucky to win a title. The Lakers did. And you also had LeBron, so that helped you in your favor too. But Jeannie, this is not a money play. The Buss family has more money than they know what to deal with.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember when they made the deal with Mark Walter, when they sold off, what was the arrangement that was made? She wanted to stay on for 5 years and be the governor. Now, what's the rules for being a minority owner, being a governor? 15%. You know why she's fighting so hard and saying that she's the majority voter? Because she doesn't want to lose her job as the governor of the Lakers.
Yeah.
But they're calling it a provisionary clause that was
Correct.
involved that if Walter sold, they were allowed to tag on for the same valuation, which is what the vote was. All of them voted to say we wanted to sell. Jeannie didn't vote, and now she made her lawyer basically form a cease and desist on the vote and said, "You guys can't do anything without me."
Yep.
This is a game of chicken. It is the worst family run organization I've ever seen with the Lakers. And dare I say, Jeannie is like vaulted herself up to one of the worst owners in professional sports.
Gotta think so, right?
What I don't know what's in the water in LA, but Artie Moreno, Jeannie Buss, like what is going on? Is there something like seedy in the water that we don't know about?
There's a reason why it's called Smell A because they're known for the smog in Los Angeles.
By the way, Jeannie is throwing a temper tantrum. Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. Jeannie doesn't want to give up her power. She knows that being a part of the Lakers is a brand and there's money. Like, you're telling me that not tagging along for a $12.5 billion valuation is not worth it? Remember, Dr. Buss bought the team, I think, for $79 million, if I'm not mistaken. Is that true?
Yeah.
And think about the return on that. $79 million for $12.5 billion.
Crazy.
That's a lottery victory. That's more than a lottery victory. Jeannie's got to like just shut it down and just stop because she's making herself look really bad right now, and it's an embarrassment what she's doing.
All right, Nick, from turmoil in ownership to some good news about ownership just further south of LA in Callan McClurg's backyard in San Diego, as baseball owners on Monday voted unanimously to approve the purchase of the Padres by private equity investor Jose E. Feliciano and his wife, attorney and entrepreneur Kwanzaa Jones, for a record-shattering $3.9 billion. This transaction officially concludes the Peter Seiler family's stewardship following his passing back in November of 2023, establishing a record purchase for a baseball franchise, more than doubling what Steve Cohen paid for the Mets back in 2020 of $2.4 billion. Both Feliciano and Jones bring massive private capital reserves to San Diego, pledging to maintain competitive payrolls while expanding global marketing around Petco Park and to their corporation. Nick, does a $3.9 billion sale for a small to mid-market franchise like the Padres redefine market valuations for baseball teams moving forward? But also, what does this say, though, Nick, with the sale happening right before the lockout hits this December?
Well, this goes back to the conversation we had last night about who the potential ownership groups were that were bidding for the Padres. And Joe Lacob was on the top of the list looking to buy the Padres. Now, I think he kind of superseded himself out of the sale because who knows how long potentially this MLB lockout could be. It could be 20 games, it could be 30 games. It could be a whole season. I have no idea. But why not buy the asset? The asset was at a low looking to go high and build high. It's a decent market. There's a lot of great players to build off marketing wise. The fan base comes out in droves to watch the team. So I don't understand why he wouldn't buy it. He, first of all people that know how to take a dwindling franchise in Golden State and build them into 3 championships in 5 years, and was willing to spend the money past the salary cap to do so. I think he would have been a really good owner for the Padres.
So
now, baseball is a whole different animal when it comes to running a payroll than it is for the NBA. But of all people, I think he would have been the perfect guy. Now, I'm not saying I think Jose and Kwanzaa are going to be great because they're going to spend the money necessary to do that. And I'm not saying Peter Seidler and his family didn't do that. They did. I just think some of the practices were a little questionable towards the end. I think you and I had talked about the whole $50 million loan supposedly they took to cover the payroll. That was a little sketchy-ish at the time. But I think just his health issues got in the way, and that was why they eventually had to sell and move on.
Oh, yeah.
But I think this is great. Also, you talked about Latin American ownership also. I think it's the second owner for
Yes.
Latin American ownership, right?
Yes.
So it's going to help spread internationally a little bit more. He's got soccer ownership. He can do cross promotional stuff between the Padres and some of the soccer ownership he has.
Chelsea.
Chelsea, which is one of the bigger franchises out there. So he could get a hell of a lot of attention if he wanted to cross promote, which I wouldn't be surprised. I think that's the right move to really do it. The number is shocking still to this day, $3.9 billion. It makes me wonder, like, now you play the value game with like the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Dodgers. Like, I could see potentially a 3 or 4 multiple on
Oh yeah.
that for all those teams. They're not selling. I mean, let me take that back. The Dodgers could be for sale very soon, but if the Padres went for almost 4 billion, what do you think that makes the Dodgers?
That's why I think, Nick, a lot of people were shocked about the price tag paid for the Padres. Like, here's a franchise who, they've never won a World Series. They've been there twice, but they've built something very great in a marketplace without the National Football League, as I made the mention on Tuesday. And it's a marketplace to itself, though, separate from LA and Orange County. And you've got the Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico border, about half an hour from my house in a way. And you can go and promote the franchise down there, and they've long done that forever. And when you have owners, Nick, like Feliciano and Kwanzaa coming to San Diego, who can now do that sort of cross promotion south of the border, or even over in Europe somehow with owning Chelsea FC of the EPL. I'm very eager to see how they do, in fact, how they put their stamp on the franchise when, in fact, they are introduced next Monday at Petco Park to the media for the first time since they showed up to the Mexico City series at the invitation of minority partner Alfredo Harpaloo, whose stadium is where the Padres have played those Mexico City games the past couple of years, though, and that Jose and Kwanzaa were there to, meet, with Mr. Halou and kind of begin to, get involved, though, with the franchise. But Nick, I posed a question, though, on Tuesday. Who, though, does this sale actually benefit? The owners, or does this benefit the players, I think? Because I think, Nick, I read that statement, though, from the Players Association about how the team was run, though, but before 2020 when Sadler took over the franchise.
Are you talking about the league as a whole or the Padres when you say does it benefit the owners or the players?
The whole product across the board.
The whole league.
Yeah.
So I would say that benefits the owners more than it does the players. But the players can now say, hello, like you're trying to strap us by putting a salary cap in, but you guys keep selling your franchises for billions of dollars. I think this actually is going to cause for more of a lockout because think about it. The players are saying, we don't want our money capped, but you guys keep selling. You just sold the Padres for $4 billion. Did you ever think the Padres were going to go for $4 billion?
No, absolutely not. Especially, Nick, when I pulled up the MLBPA statement, they were bought by the Seidler Group and the O'Malleys for $800 million 14 years ago in 2012.
So that's
They quintupled their value in 14 years.
It's a 5 times multiple. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, I heard this the other day that basically if you're able to invest in a sports ownership of any kind, just hold it. Eventually it'll become 3, 4, 5 times in value if you just hold on to it. Because now sports ownership is like investment in a sense, instead of investing in stocks. This is bad for the players because the players are going to say, F you, you're trying to limit how much money we can make, but you guys can keep going out there and asking for 4, 5, 6, 8 billion, 10 billion, and we don't get any of that.
They also compared the payroll, the ballpark attendance, and the playoff resume dating back to 2011 through 19 for the payroll ranking and the attendance. Over an 8-year stretch, Nick, between 11 and 19, the Padres had the 24th ranked payroll in baseball. Since 2020, up until last season, they've been at number 7 or in the top 10 in payroll, including having that payroll back in 23 when they were 3rd. Ballpark attendance over that same 8-year span between 11 and 19, 2.2 million. That was 18th best in baseball. Last season alone, 3.4 million, number 2 in all of baseball. Probably going to shatter that record again this season. And then, of course, 2020, 24, 2020, 22, 24, 25, 4 playoff trips in 6 seasons.
I think part of it is that the product is better. The group of players is also better in San Diego in the last 5 to 6 years.
Oh, 1,000%.
But at the same time, I think now baseball is finally gaining some traction again, but which they're going to kill because they're going to end up in a lockout. I think we're going to end up back in 1994 all over again, where if we have a huge lockout, you might as well say goodbye to the baseball numbers for the next year because they're going to have to rebuild that all over again to get people to watch because they're going to be so pissed off by this lockout and the greediness of the owners. This is bad for the players. Tenfold, I feel bad for the players because now let me be clear. The players make more than enough money too. But to say that this is a player's problem is naive, ignorant, and not paying attention to how many billions these owners make on top of whatever side businesses they have owning these franchises. So this is naive to say that the players are to blame for anything here.
Yeah, and I think more importantly, Nick, as well, that, I've been thinking about this Padre road trip that they've been on. Petco Park has become a destination in this marketplace during the baseball season between March and September or in October, that you go downtown, Nick, whenever you bring the family out here for a week or whatever during the baseball season, downtown San Diego comes alive. And before we get to the top of the hour, past the top of the hour, I remember, Nick, I got the tour Petco when they were building it in the early 2000s.
I want to see that park so bad.
And, well, I remember because one of my youth baseball coaches was a construction worker who was helping with the ballpark project. So when I say we, it was me, my older brother, and my dad got to go to Petco and we had to wear hard hats still, and we got to walk the ballpark while they were still building it after they had these 2 years of lawsuits thrown out by all these, city residents about, we don't need a new baseball stadium here. Who cares? And blah, 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 blah. And now, though, you go downtown, Nick, and you see how at one point, Nick, I mean, you know very well that every city has those spots in the city that you don't go to. The East Village was not a place to go to back in the 90s and 2000s. It was all just, rundown warehouses and, crime and all that. And now you think, though, 22 years later, you've got this crown jewel of baseball, oftentimes, Nick, ranked number 1 or number 2 as, the best ballpark in America by numerous publications out there, including USA Today. You've got the gas stamp quarter. Then you've got all the hotels and the bars and the shops around the ballpark. And now, Nick, you have a ownership group coming in like Jose and Kwanzaa, who will be using a very, I think, great minority ownership group that's not been publicly named yet, though, away from Joey and Jesse Buss right now, and maybe the Saquon Band and the Kumeyaay Nation, that they all are going to help out in some way to further revitalize this part of downtown San Diego. And more importantly, like I said, though, on my show on Tuesday, this is the best era I've seen of Padre baseball in 32 years, away from 98 and away from 05 and 06, though. But now you've had consistent winning seasons or consistent play now happening, that if you make the playoffs this year, you will break another first in franchise history. The first time you've gone to the playoffs 3 consecutive seasons dating back to the late 60s, early 70s. And I made the mention too, Nick, you could watch a Padre game if they're on national TV on like Monday through Thursday, Nick. You have a sellout crowd on a Monday night, on a school night, and a work night because of what the ownership group has done in this marketplace. Where, again, what competition, Nick, do you have right now that's not named soccer? You've got the whole place to yourself. That's what I think makes this marketplace so beautiful. Not because I hate the NFL, but look at what has been done, though, since the NFL left. Where have people put their money and time and effort, though, into in this town? Baseball, minor league hockey, and soccer.
I mean, I've said this forever. Like Spanos ran for LA, that completely destroyed the entire market when it came to football in that regard. So they had to find other ways to have teams to root for in the San Diego market. Now, I think this is going to help more than ever because they're going to put more money, not just into the team itself, but maybe help to build the downtown area around San Diego and really to build it out into something more prosperous for fans to be involved. I think I don't think you guys look back with that with the NFL now being in LA. I think
Not at all.
that's the
I know I don't.
well, that's a different story. But my point is that hopefully the new ownership will be able to do things that hopefully are more digitized, more open to fans to be more interactive with the ability to do things. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, two things real quick before we move on here. First of all, I made the mention on Tuesday. I did email the Padre PR staff to try to go and cover the press conference on next Monday for my show on Monday night, and then for our show on Wednesday, and for Cycle. Haven't heard back yet still. And also, secondly, Nick, to celebrate the new ownership, the Padres are doing Fan Appreciation Month for every home game in September. You know, not just like one day, Nick. I mean, like every game that's left over in September. So when the Yanks come to town, the Nationals, the Marlins in Arizona come to town, fans could be leaving there with like a brand new TV or like $1,000 in cash, for example, to like in a way give back about what the fan base has done for them over the last several years of a Seidler ownership to welcome the new group. And Fan Appreciation Month is a thing for fans that come to games.
The
I
one
think
thing,
that's awesome.
yeah, that is cool. One thing, and then I'll read this thing. But I was going to say you should talk to the Padres PR and say, "Hey, is Jose and Kwanzaa available? Can we do a tape spot and find a way to get them via interview if we have to tape it? That one
Yeah,
we
that'd be
probably have to
something.
tape. That would be fun to kind of talk about how they see what's going on with MLB. What are their thoughts potentially on the lockout and how that's going to affect the moves they make in the upcoming 5 to 6 months. What are they going to do in case a lockout happens? That would be an interesting conversation to have with the Padres PR to see if we can pull that off. But as we head into hour two, the Empty the Bench Network is pleased to announce that the network has surpassed 3,000 watch hours on YouTube, and we cannot thank you, the viewers, for our outstanding support in making this milestone possible. Thanks to the viewers like you, in the coming days and in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, we'll be rolling out all the details about our super chats, super stickers, super thanks, channel membership tiers, perks, merch store, and so much more. We thank you again for your support of the ETB Network programming. We are already working on membership perks and a lot of different things behind the scenes. It's just a matter of when Google AdSense decides to cooperate and get our approvals all set up. But you and I have been tirelessly working behind the scenes to build some membership levels. Nothing is going to be expensive. Don't worry about it. It's a very, I don't know, what's the right word of describing the tiers in a sense?
Very affordable.
It's affordable. Is there larger tiers? Yes, but that's more for just if someone is feeling in a happy mood and wants to donate, we have bigger perks for people like that. Like I said, it's going to be a fun time now that we have the ability. We're going to have a lot of bonus content coming your way with membership perks. We're going to have behind the scenes stuff coming up as well. Bonus hours of a lot of shows are going to come your way. I don't know if Christy's still in the chat, but I was talking to Christy. She said she was interested in doing some like bonus live stream, like just watch alongs of the events. Possibly that was something we discussed. Some other shows, maybe we'll do some other things. We might add a bonus hour, not live to this show, but like a fourth hour, maybe to explore some topics further that maybe we didn't have time to during the week, or if we get an extra interview that we couldn't do during the show, you'll see more bonus content. So just keep watching, liking, subscribing. Go watch our replays if you're not able to live, and help us get even closer to the 4,000 watch hour goal.
All right, Nick, in the hour two, we go starting off shop with broadcast veterans John Jastremski, Jimmy Traina, who recently left SI for 20 plus years, and WFAN SNY host Sal Licata are reportedly teaming up to anchor a new digital media venture. The talent-led project aims to blend traditional New York sports discourse with independent podcasting, newsletter distribution, and of course DTC monetization. The union highlights a continuing trend of established linear radio and TV or digital personalities building independent media properties rather than signing with traditional network contracts of ESPN or Fox. Nick, can a talent-owned our regional sports venture starring established personalities like these three men compete directly against legacy sports radio stations and like WFAN in the brand new digital age that we are living in?
Yeah, this is the way the industry is going. It's a lot of independent media. It's a lot of built media, and guys like Jimmy Trainer, who I'm trying to get on. It was a little busy the last time we tried to get him because I think it was around the Super Bowl last time. He was at SI for 20 plus years. If you saw the announcement on social media, he said, "Look, I need to do something different. I need to evolve." Unfortunately, Sports Illustrated was not really evolving away from writing. They're not doing a lot of digital, which is a problem. And he was doing the podcast. They were struggling some weeks to get the video version up of SI Media with Jimmy Traina. I watch that show every week from the video perspective. I don't really listen from audio because I like to watch interviews that I'm listening to. And I think he just realized it's time to evolve. And that's how the industry is. Look, we evolved. We went from doing all recorded stuff to doing all live. That's how, excuse me, the industry has become. Now, it's interesting with these three. So Yastrzemski and Licata are doing a show. I forgot what it's called. It's a New York sports show for Bet Rivers. And I'm going to look that up just to make sure I get the right information. But they're already doing a show for Bet Rivers Network. Oh, it's called New York Sports Rush. So I think they do that 2 or 3 times a week. And they both used to be on WFAN. They used to do shows on there. Now, if you remember for JJ, he was doing JJ After Dark on WFAN, the late overnight hours. Like he was doing like 1 to 6 or something in the middle of the night. And he was actually offered to go to middays. He said no. And eventually Spotify and The Ringer came calling and he did whatever that show was. I can't even remember. But it was a really good show. They did a good job. And eventually that kind of fizzled out. Oh, it was called New York with John Jastremski. Great name, by the way. And they just laid him off, which I thought was unfortunate. And he brought his show with him. He started doing it. And eventually Bet Rivers picked him and Sal up. And Sal does his own podcast on the side on his own YouTube channel. And Sal was on the Trainer Thoughts segment with Jimmy Traina every week. So now Jimmy and Sal are going to be doing a podcast together. And I can't remember the name of the company now. I'm trying to look it up because they just announced it. I saw a video. I was playing it. It's called Underscore Media is the new name of the company. And it looks like actually the podcast feed was just put out for Jimmy's show. Because here's the effed up thing about the business, especially when it comes to podcast feeds. And yeah, Trainer launching his own thing is huge. I don't know if it's his own thing fully, Zan. I think he is just, I don't even know if he has ownership percentage in Underscore Media. I just know he has his own venture under this Underscore Media thing. But here's the effed up thing about podcast feeds. Okay, so SI would not give him his podcast feed.
Oh, come on.
But it was the same thing. Do you remember we had the conversation about Ryan Russillo when he was at The Ringer and when he left to go to Barstool? Spotify and The Ringer said, F you, we're not giving you your feed. So he had to start over again with Barstool and rebuild the feed. I don't understand why people are so stingy. What are you going to do with the podcast feed? The podcast feed was the Ryan Russillo show. You're telling me you're going to rebrand that, when it was built up based on his name, image, and likeness. There's that NIL nonsense again. But why would you take a random feed that was built up huge because of somebody else and not give
Wow.
it to them? It's so people don't have to go digging for it if they're already subscribed.
Interesting.
Wait, what do you mean, Stan? Are you talking about why they wouldn't get the subscriber feed? I think that's a douchey thing that Spotify did to Ryan Russillo, and I think this is a douchey thing that SI won't give Jimmy Traynor the podcast feed. Who is the reason the podcast feed grew to what it is?
Ah.
Oh, yeah. Agreed. Why are podcast companies holding onto a feed they can't use anymore?
Stubbornness?
When I'll give you a quick story. Nick DiMartino. I started to tell you about this the other night. When he used to do a show for Review and Preview, the guy, I'm not going to say his name because I really don't feel like getting in trouble with him, but wouldn't give him his show title. It was originally, I forgot the name of the show. Nick D would remember it, but that's how Moving the Goalposts was born, because Review and Preview would not give him his show title, even though they didn't own the rights to it whatsoever. But it's amazing how this industry is, that people are petty and what are you going to do with the show feed? Nothing. What was the one we talked about last night? The iHeart lawsuit that's going on. I think it was Jacksonville, or like they were on a Jacksonville feed, or
I think so.
And they went off to do their own show on YouTube, and they filed a lawsuit for non-compete. It's not even another radio station; it's YouTube. Is this unbelievable or what?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
In this industry, people are eating each other alive. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a dog-eat-dog world, and we're just kind of living in it, like I said yesterday. All right, Nick, from all things involving those three men to all things in college football, Nick, the way we have news of ESPN announcing that Bussin' and Pate on campus will air every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern, throughout the entire college football season, fusing together Barstool Sports' popular Bussin' with the Boys show, hosted by Will Compton and Taylor Lewin, with college football analyst Josh Pate's editorial commentary. The partnership helps demonstrate ESPN's ongoing effort to license creator-driven digital IP to anchor afternoon broadcast blocks ahead of marquee Saturday slates. Nick, is the new licensing external digital properties like Bussin' with the Boys the future of ESPN's daytime studio lineup over developing internal shows like it used to be?
And actually, I think Zan makes a good point here. I'm just here for paid. I don't care about Luan. So just to clarify on something you wrote, also, Bussin' with the Boys is now an independent product. Now you were right. They used to be at Barstool. I do give you credit on that regard. Barstool made them big in every way, shape, or form.
Even I know that, and I don't watch their content.
But it's a little bit of an odd pairing. A little bit, Bussin' with the Boys and Josh Pate. What's interesting here, though, is it's two independent properties being put together that do stuff for ESPN. So Will and Taylor were showing up on Get Up and some of the other shows on ESPN, and eventually it led to a huge audience on ESPN. Zan said Barstool made them big, but the problem was that they didn't see that the show was a brain on its own, which is why they left. Yeah, they became so big through the Barstool paradox. Yeah.
Nick, we have a breaking news story from Yahoo Sports.
Yeah.
MLB Network has announced the upcoming premiere of a new movie called When America Took the Field, set to debut on the channel on September the 10th. This film will detail the return of baseball following the events of 9/11 25 years ago and features interviews with athletes and personalities that experienced it firsthand. It will also re-air on the 11th, the 12th, and 13th.
I I mean, you're
And
going
it
to
looks
see a
like,
lot. You're going to see a
and it,
lot of that now with the anniversary coming up.
and it looks like the first interview they do was with one of my favorites, Tom Verducci.
Yeah, like I said, like the anniversary is coming up. It's less than a month away. 25 years. It's hard to believe. It's been 25 years since that's happened. Um, yeah, I also saw Michael Strahan is working on a huge production, getting a ton of celebrities that were from the New York area that their kind of their reactions to the day of when everything happened. Um, Not surprising. I think you're
Yeah.
going to see a lot of documentaries this year due to the 25th anniversary. To get back to this, um, this isn't a unique pairing, like I said, of two independent products or shows, I should really say. And from what I understand, they're going to be going on campuses on Fridays. I think it's Friday at 2 p.m.
Yes.
Eastern, I think was the showtime. It's not always going to be where College Game Day is. Sometimes
That part I think is a little weird, I'd say, because why not give that campus like a little appetizer or a taste of the game day experience, though, and not have them go wherever the game day crew is going to be on Saturday morning?
I think it's to spread it out that way because you're already going to get 3 hours of College Game Day.
Okay, that's true, I guess.
Because, well, it's a good thought, but maybe you send them to another campus, maybe something that's not necessarily where ESPN is, and do some digital / pre-show content for another campus, another conference, maybe that's not always the SEC or the Big Ten. But I'm going to be curious to see. This is because this is three giant personalities with a lot of ego. That's a problem a little bit here. Pate's been doing his own college football show for quite a while. Now with Will and Taylor, they're former NFL players, but they're very into the college football scene. I'm going to be curious to see how long this show lasts for. Because this is not something you can do all year round. Of course, I say that now, and they'll find a way to make it all year round.
Don't say it.
Well, because of their personalities. If the show is a massive hit...
Clown show! Clown show! Clown show!
If the show is a massive hit, it will become an all-year thing. I'm just going to say that now. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how the formula and the format of the show work. But you said, is licensing external digital properties like Bussin' with the Boys and the future of ESPN's daytime studio lineup over developing internal shows? I mean, it's heading that direction. I wouldn't say
they already have the deal with Barstool as is, didn't they? Or they did at one point, and I think isn't
They
Wake
don't
Up
have a deal
Barstool
with-
now on? Yeah, they're on FS1. So, it's almost one of those things, Nick, of like you want to put the work in, but you don't want to put the work in though to create like original content. Now, if you're at ESPN,
well, you have to spend more money to create internal content. Why do you think FS1 went the Barstool route and all that stuff to fill the time? I mean, look at ESPN now and the way their lineup is going to be. Because now, I don't know if Bussin' and Paid on Campus is considered an internal show. I don't know the answer to that. I think it is. Because it's not a show that was created before it hit the airwaves. So I think this is technically an internal ESPN product that they're putting together.
gotta be.
It involves people from other entities. I'll give you that. But think about it. On Friday, how does that affect McAfee, though? Because it's on Friday at 2 p.m.
Isn't his third hour though behind?
It's on YouTube. That's right.
That's why.
That's going to be an interesting lineup on Friday, going from McAfee to
This show, yeah.
to Bussin' and Paid on Campus. That's a lot of personality for 3 hours straight between two shows. But I think you're right. I think ESPN is kind of going away from development of internal shows. And if all they have to do is pay to bring the show in and it's already got infrastructure, why would you go and start creating more internal shows? It's more headache on your part that you have to do.
Yeah, it's adding more unnecessary stuff to your plate if that's the case.
McAfee's team does all the work. Essentially, what ESPN does is the production end. They just make sure the show gets out, it airs. I think they do all the sales and all that stuff now, but you're not going to see as much creative effect anymore
when referring to, yeah.
When it comes to internal shows. Like, if you remember His and Hers, if you remember from back in the day, that was Jamel Hill and Michael Smith.
Yes.
Like, you're not going to see shows like that anymore. If you remember, like, when the tubes would come up out of the
Numbers Never Lie.
Numbers Never Lie. Yeah, you're not going to see as much internal stuff because that's not the way of the future. If I'm ESPN, I can go out and grab the biggest and most popular show of all time. Why do I need to pay? And maybe the show's not going to work if I do it internally. If I bring the audience in from the outside, it's already a built-in audience. Why am I going to go start from scratch?
Yeah. All right, Nick, we'll go now to college football and the never-ending meme circus that is Jaden Daniels' ongoing NIL season desist order for his alma mater regarding the number 5, as a attorney representing Commanders quarterback and former LSU Heisman Trophy winner Jaden Daniels sent a formal demand letter instructing that the LSU Tigers immediately cease using Daniels' NIL in marketing materials. Daniels is believed to have expressed feeling profoundly disrespected after the Bayou Bengals permitted incoming 5-star cornerback DJ Pickett to wear his former number 5 without consulting or even informing him. This dispute that was highlighting new player friction points between school athletic departments, legacy players, and jersey number honors in the post-NIL Mortem era. Nick, does Jaden Daniels have a legitimate grievance over jersey number assignment, or is this a massive overreach regarding university property and player legacy? Give me a break.
You suck, you jackass.
Because he's a raw pain in the ass.
You suck, you jackass.
I mean, you better be careful. We might get a cease and desist for mentioning the number 5. I mean, or more like...
Are you kidding me? That's right. Who do you think you are? I am.
Damn it. Don't mention the number 5. It's not allowed.
Mumbo number 5.
Oh, one of my favorite songs ever.
Thank you, Lou Bega. But
don't mention Maroon 5, 5 Gum, $5 foot long.
5 Guys, Big 5 Sporting Goods.
I mean, might as well just we might just have to cancel the number 5 at this point. Yeah, forever Power 5.
Sorry, fellas, you're off the air now.
We're going to call it Forever Power 4.
Oh, Forever Power 4.
Yeah, the ETB Lounge had 4 people on it last Sunday.
Out of respect to Mr. Daniels' wishes. But, Nick, your thoughts on this whole entire ordeal? My goodness, what a mess.
This is the biggest crock of shit I've ever heard of in my life. I mean, it's a jersey number. You don't own the rights to the jersey number. It's whoever's on the team. Name, image, likeness, my ass. You won a Heisman. Big deal. You didn't win a national championship. You're not Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow won a Heisman and he won a national championship at LSU. And you're mad because they gave it to that player Pickett who asked for the number since he's worn it since he was 4 years old.
Yep.
I mean, what are we doing here? I don't even think this is his doing. I think his mother and his team are the reason why this bull crap is going on. What do you have to gain from this? What do you have to gain? Nothing.
You're not gaining anything unless that number is going to be retired at Tiger Stadium down there in a couple of years, which I don't think it will. I mean, I think Burrows will be retired up there eventually, but I mean, come on now. Now we're fighting over a number.
A jersey number.
A jersey number.
I mean, You know what Jaden Daniels' mom and his team are thinking right now?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, they're ready to like bare knuckle brawl over a stupid number. I mean, and the Heisman Trophy and displaying everything. Jaden, you need to focus on football, which I think he put out an Instagram story saying like, "I'm focused on football." This has nothing to do with him at all. He was in a Netflix document, or the mom was in a Netflix documentary. I don't remember what the name of it was.
Was it the one? Was it the quarterback series?
I mean, I'm looking it up, but like she was more involved than he was in the Netflix documentary. And it's crazy to me. So it was called, oh yeah, you're right. So she was featured in the Netflix sports series such as The Quarterback and slash NFL Coverage.
Yeah.
When your mom is involved, that can be either really good or really bad. In this case, it's really bad.
It's really bad.
I don't know what her prerogative is in this situation. Unless it's, I want all this money. We're owed. You're not owed shit. You're owed nothing. You won a Heisman. You went on. You got drafted by the Commanders, which I think were the Redskins at the time when he got drafted. I think.
No, I think they were the Commanders already.
Oh, were they the Commanders already? But you got drafted. You got paid. Leave LSU alone. What are we doing here?
Yeah, like I don't understand like why all of a sudden, that, and I think, Nick, a little bit, it reminds me a bit of the whole Reggie Bush issue where like USC could not have his number retired on Basundic at the Coliseum after he got popped for his issues back in the early and mid 2000s. And there was a 10-year ban on him even going to games at SC unless he was working for Fox.
Which is ridiculous.
And I agree. And then I don't know. I mean, this whole thing, Nick, has become nothing but a joke. And I have loved that everybody has, like, in a way, poked fun at this. Like,
the Mets did.
Yeah. Everybody has. We did. Teams have done that already. It's only going to get worse.
So I'm reading. So it says a public dispute arose when LSU reissued the number 5 jersey. Are you kidding me? A public spectacle over a reissued jersey, which you can't even wear anyway? And it was for sophomore cornerback DJ Pickett,
yes,
prompting Jaden Daniels' attorney to issue a cease and desist letter over commercial name, image, and likeness usage. Over a jersey number? I didn't realize that jersey numbers were name, image, and likeness. I don't think that counts.
I don't think they do either.
And Lane Kiffin was the one who reissued it. Expressing deep disappointment, Daniels' camp filed a cease and desist letter targeting the commercial use of his NIL. Through legal experts note, players generally cannot control jersey number assignments. There you go. There's the answer.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in the NFL. Why do you care so much?
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't add up, right? You're not gaining any extra money. I don't know how to feel about this. Yeah, the jersey situation is stupid. You're right, Christy. I mean, I don't know. This just sounds petty, in my opinion. And I'm trying to read through the ESPN story because they wrote way more than I thought you could actually write about this story. Jaden made it clear that he did not. Oh, here we go. Quote, Jaden made it clear that he did not want his number given to another player. I'm sorry. I don't think that's how that works.
Yeah, sorry. You're not on the team anymore, sir.
And he believed his wishes would be respected. Again, that's not how that works.
Nope.
His Heisman Trophy winning season and everything he accomplished and on and off the field cemented his place in LSU history. So now
you didn't bring them a natty, though. That's the only thing.
I mean, you won a Heisman. That's not nothing, but you didn't win a title. To see his number given to another player is incredibly disappointing and feels like a failure to honor the significance of what Jaden accomplished. You won a Heisman. You're telling me that that's not enough?
No, I don't. This is so stupid.
The number 9 jersey that Joe Burrow used at LSU hasn't been worn since 2019 because probably no one's asked for the number.
And he also won a Natty, and I think it's going to be retired very soon, too.
He won the Heisman Trophy. He led the Tigers to a 15-0 record. You want a jersey that should be retired? Number 9 should be retired. And I'm not a Joe Burrow fan by any means, but 15-0 and winning a Heisman and winning a Natty, I think that deserves to be put in the rafters.
Oh, 1,000%.
I really think it does. An LSU athletic department spokesman declined to comment. Gee, what else is new? Tell me something I don't know. Kiffin told reporters that Pickett had been promised. So I think this is part of the problem, too. Kiffin said that Pickett had been promised he could wear number 5 when he signed with the Tigers in December of 24. Pickett had worn that number as a high school star in Florida, where he was the number 2 cornerback in the class of 2025. And basically Pickett doubled down and said, I really don't care what Jaden and his team has to say. And good on him, though, because that's not his fault. This is Jaden and his team. You know what? Let me take that back. I'm not even going to blame Jaden Daniels for this.
This is all his inner circle.
They need to stop and move on and go focus on helping the Commanders win a Super Bowl, which they're not even close to doing at this point.
Exactly. With that, Nick, back to the NBA with some shuffling of local TV as both the Magic and Hornets have secured comprehensive multi-year broadcast distribution agreements with local broadcast stations, broadcast station groups to air their non-national games free over the air. But transitions, of course, come as the RSN model continues to collapse, forcing NBA franchises to prioritize household reach and broadcast availability over guaranteed RSN right fees. Both the Hornets and Magic are pairing broadcast TV access with DTC streaming applications to capture those who have, in fact, cut the cord. Nick, are free OTA broadcast deals sustainable for mid-market NBA franchises without the massive safety net of traditional RSN right fees going forward?
I think what some teams are realizing is that the digital is not fully working out. For some, it is. If you're a bigger market, the digital will work out. I think with the Magic and the Hornets, they realize that their fans still want to watch on TV, which is fine. But you also have this looming YouTube local deal that's in the works. So is this really a good thing or is this a bad thing? Because I think you're kind of disrupting possibly what the NBA could be doing with YouTube.
I wonder this, though, too, Nick, for both the NBA and the NHL, because we've already reported, Nick, on here that Victory Plus is all but already lost. Like
it's
all
dead.
Of they're practically dead. They've lost the Ducks, they've lost the Texas Rangers and the NWSL. They're being held together by the Dallas Stars and Major League Volleyball and Texas high school football and junior hockey.
But if they can't pay for anything, which was the issue, then they're going to lose the Dallas Stars eventually. Yeah, especially with more games coming in now for the NHL. I think it's an extra 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, it's a 84 game season now. Yeah,
so that's going to cause more problems for Victory Plus because they're not going to be able to afford to put those games on. I think Victory Plus is dead.
So you've got that problem, Nick. Then you have the problem with both the Ducks and the Clippers, who probably will not be asked to come back to Angels Baseball TV, which is FanDuel Sports West at one point.
Which the Angels bought out.
The Angels bought out, but it's the Angels and the Kings who are linked up there. The Clippers no longer have their deal with FanDuel Sports SoCal, which has totally gone off the air on my cable box here. They've totally taken the channel off the lineup.
Well, FanDuel completely died, too.
Yeah.
That's another factor of it.
Yeah, and the main thing, though, is that the Clippers could pivot, much like the Ducks could pivot to Channel 5 or Channel 9 in San Diego, because in reality, the Ducks already had a deal in place with KCOP 13 and Fox 11 up in Orange County.
For the local coverage.
For local coverage. The only thing, 11 and 13 don't exist in my area. It'd have to be sub-licensed to Channel 5 or Channel 9, and I don't know how that looks, though, for a full 84-game NHL season, or for that matter, Nick, a full 82-game basketball season for the Clippers.
Well, and also you're not taking into account the blackout rules also for certain, depending on where games are also.
The only blackout we have here is Angels and Dodgers.
I'm just saying that, but that does play into the key factor. Think about it. Like, I can't watch games. Remember, I had the issue watching the Yankee game on CBS, which means it had to be airing on Yes. But what if I don't get Yes? That's not fair to me as a customer. So you're running into those issues too. Now, I was a little curious when these were announced because, again, when the NBA YouTube local hub becomes a thing, does this almost become null and void almost in a situation?
Trying to see who else has moved cable partner who has moved local TV.
Milwaukee.
Well, we knew that already. We already reported on that. So, all right. So what we have here, Nick, for local TV, the Pistons have now moved to WMYD Detroit and FanDuel, and the loss of FanDuel Sports Detroit and that deal was done with Script Sports. The Miami Heat are on WPLG and the local 10 plus platinum streaming app. The Bucks are back on WVTV in Milwaukee. The Hawks are going to be on WANF and Peachtree Sports Network. The Wolves moved to DAZN, which I know was also talked about, though, involving the Gotham Sports app going over there and the loss of the Gotham Sports app for them. The Hornets are going to WSOC TV and WAXN TV, while the Magic go to WRDQ and WFTV in Orlando to move away from FanDuel Sports Southeast in Florida. The Suns also re-upped with Gray Media for 4 more years. And again, DAZN announced the agreement to become the new DTC consumer or DTC platform for MSG and the Yes Network for the Nets and the Knicks and the Nets starting this upcoming season.
Oh, right, because of all the DAZN stuff that they're talking about. I don't know. This just seems. I don't see how this really works out 100% of the way, especially if that YouTube local hub becomes a scenario where all the local feeds are going to go. So I'm going to be curious to see if they get an audience, number one. But I don't know. We're going to have to see where this kind of plays out. We got a Lakers update situation here. This one you're going to find fascinating with the Buzz family. So this is multiple sources reporting across this story. Jeannie Buss is reportedly open to purchasing the required shares to remain the Lakers governor, meaning that she might try to buy out all the siblings that are involved.
And be the sole owner of the franchise.
That goes back to my point of this is about power and not about money.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, ego?
Ego, power, money, championships.
I'm just looking because there are some stories written on it. Let's see. Could there be a way for the rest of the siblings to sell and Jeannie to remain as governor that would require her finding a way to still own at least 15% of the shares? But is it possible? Per a league source, Jeannie would be open to exploring that scenario. This is all power, man. This has nothing to do with money.
This is just getting worse, it seems like, by the minute.
So it says, in order to be a governor of an NBA team, an individual must own at least 15%, which right now the combined owns almost 18%. Yeah, I have that would be the most power-hungry move of all time if she bought out all the cousins and brothers. If that were to happen, that would be an unbelievable stroke of the ego right there if she found a way to buy them out. Like, oh my God.
I mean, if that happens, we will be on the air when that happens, believe me. With that, Nick, to all things involving WNBA BS. But it came, though, Nick, from UConn legendary head coach Gino Auriemma, who made candid remarks, though, regarding the political and media environment surrounding all of women's basketball. Gino Auriemma stated that a specific segment of the public does not want to see the game succeed and will do whatever they can to slam it every chance they can. But on the contrary, Gino also cautioned the WNBA leadership and the players to navigate political activism carefully, warning that heightened mainstream exposure makes the league a target for bad faith political commentators, as we've already seen, though, Nick, over the last several weeks. Nick, is Gino Auriemma giving prudent PR advice for a growing league, or should the league's players lean fully into political advocacy despite blowback from a legendary coach like Gino is?
So Gino has a big mouth, and I don't mean that in a mean way. That's just who he is as a personality. I don't know if I would give the full advice of saying just lean into the political atmosphere, because you and I have seen that that's just not a good move. The public does not like it at all. No, nobody likes sports mixed with politics. Go ask Laura Ingraham how the shut up and dribble worked out.
Yeah.
Go check out our TikTok as we got destroyed from last week's show because people don't understand the difference between racism and profiling. I mean, activism. I totally understand people have the right to protest and have the ability to do what they want. That's their choice. That's their life. They can do whatever they want. But I don't know if I would recommend saying just go out there and publicly protest and be active all time around, because that might hurt the league a little bit. At least that's how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, and Gino's never been shy, Nick, in 40 years of being the head coach of UConn women's basketball to not, defend his players, defend his program. I Nick, remember very much when they made that very weird move to the American Athletic Conference a few years ago
Yes.
when the Big East blew up, and how people back then that, again, weren't watching the game because it was cool like I did back at that time. They said, you are ruining basketball for women's sports fans out there because you keep winning and you keep going unbeaten and you keep winning national championships. That's not the case here, now that they have not won as often as they once did. But I'm not surprised, Nick, though, that Gino would say what he said. But I think, though, Nick, in a way, that the last part of that, though, has gone to what I have long been saying for the last 2 weeks about you need to proceed with caution when you are, in fact, navigating political activism, and that the new exposure that you're getting now, Nick, does in a way put a target on your back. Imbecile. As I said, Nick, about Sophie Cunningham's remarks, though, you also can say that, but you need to also remember, what does this league stand for 30 years about being on the front line to advocate for women's rights and what have you. And I won't go back down that rabbit hole, but it's been a lot of things that I've been preaching from the rooftop of this network for the last 2 to 3 weeks.
And I want to clarify one thing because it has to do with this topic. People need to realize when we were reacting to the Megyn Kelly clip, okay, that people were saying that I purposely cut off and didn't include the other part of the conversation. It's up on our YouTube channel, the whole conversation we had, and you and I were discussing. It has nothing to do. We were saying that what she was saying was racially profiling. We weren't saying that DeJohnny Carrington was the only one being profiled. The white privilege comment made by DeJohnny Carrington was awful in every way, shape, or form. People are saying that because of the way I cut it, that I left out that that we were saying DeJohnny Carrington was innocent, is what people were saying on social media. Did you and I say that once?
Not at all.
Not one time. You and I actually basically held her feet to the fire when she made the white privilege comment.
And here I literally said that there needs to be a multiple game suspension, like $1,000 fine, because of the play that happened, the ejection, and then the rhetoric on social media before, after the play and then after the game was over.
The reason I cut the clip that way was because I wanted people to understand that Megyn Kelly was trying to talk the WNBA, but couldn't even tell you the people that were in the play, couldn't even explain it, and it wasn't even about basketball. And people say, well, she's not a sports host. Okay, then don't talk the WNBA if you don't know it. Right?
Yeah, what do you think I've been saying for the last week on this network?
So to get back to rounded to this is I'd be careful if I was Gino here. Now, he has way more gravitas and power than you and I would ever have in this scenario to talk. So he can go be an activist and do whatever he wants. He has a successful career as a coach at UConn and has won many national championships. So
11 of them.
So he could tell people to go screw off if he wanted to. But I would just be careful because the WNBA, like you said, already has a target on its back. And you don't want to put any more targets on the back of the league, which is already struggling because you have a commissioner that won't defend players.
Exactly. And I think that Gino, to a degree, though, Nick, I think he's right about that. But also, I think he's also right, too, that there has, Nick, been a long-standing ordeal that there's a segment of this population that does not want to see any women's sports league succeed, like the WNBA, the PWHL, the NWSL, or even the newly launched WPBL, Nick. There's always going to be that pocket of individuals out there. Their thoughts mean nothing about where women's sports has gone now over the last, I'd say, 5 to 7 years, if not longer.
Right. And by the way, and I want to move on from this topic because we have way more to talk about. If you want to debate in our social media comments, I have no problem with that. Okay? But if you're going to start calling us names and you're going to use the P word, which, by the way, is offensive to women, by the way, and you know which one I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Or you're calling us words that TikTok should actually be going after people for. I wrote back to a few people. I said, you're showing your intelligence level by arguing with insults rather than making a legitimate argument. How many times, Callan, have I said I'm willing to talk back and forth with people as long as they have a legitimate argument to talk about? I think you and I are on that same boat. If you have a legitimate argument and you can argue without name calling, I'll sit and talk to you all day if you want. I have no issue with that.
Yeah,
but if you're
and then when people call you out for your BS and all you do is deflect with a stupid ass smile on your face, you're going to keep getting the rhetoric.
Right. But if you're going to call us the P word, like, I'm going to throw your ass out of the comments because that means that you don't want to have an intelligent discussion about the W. You and I are here to have an intelligent discussion about sports, not to make fun of it. That's not the goal of this show. Okay. Rant done.
All right, Nick, we'll move on here to more about Callan McClurg's home state, but some interesting commercial spots, Nick, have been put forth by DraftKings across California television as they have been teasing or have been putting out a promotional teasers hinting at some kind of California sports betting launch coming up Labor Day weekend, September 2nd of this year. This tease, though, Nick, comes amid ongoing regulatory negotiations, state legislative debates, and discussions with California tribal gaming leaders regarding mobile wagering frameworks, though. Of course, though, Nick, as we already mentioned, though, but legalized sports wagering in the state has represents the largest remaining untapped market in the entire country. The potential tax revenue and handle numbers set to break national records. Nick, if mobile sports wagering does go live out in California, how drastically will it shift West Coast sports media coverage and advertising spend by companies including DK out here in California?
All right, I'm going to defer to you first because you're out in that area. So I'm curious to hear what you think about this.
Well, I don't want to jeopardize anything for the network yet, so I will pass the ball back to you.
Well, I just meant generally what you think about the news. I mean,
I don't know how to feel about it. I mean, just because the state is so, I would say, terrified about
gambling laws.
Betting. Gambling laws out here are very stringent. Go back and look at the voting numbers of the two propositions that were on the ballot 4 years ago that were crushed by like a 3/4 margin by the whole state when it came to the elector for the votes. That's probably all I can muster for the time being.
What I would say is that I find it interesting that, like, we had this issue out in New York for a long time where it was just illegal to online bet or to do any betting. You had to go to MetLife Stadium to make a bet at the sports book because that was technically in Jersey, not in New York. And then what did you notice after a long period of time? New York realized they were losing out on all that tax money that they were making for the gambling. In my opinion, California should be on that same boat because do you realize how much money they're leaving on the table? Potential tax revenue. So it's not going to happen soon. I could see it happening maybe in the next 1 to 3 years. I could see it coming down the pike. They're going to realize that they're leaving a lot of money on the table. They can't leave that money on the table.
I still don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
we're talking about like hundreds of millions possibly that they're leaving on the table. And you know me, I don't usually talk money perspectives like that in that way. But I think they're going to realize that this is money that, when money gets to a point that you can't just overlook it at some point, that's what I think is going to happen. I understand your point about the Indian tribes. I get that.
Well, it's not even the tribes. It's also the fact that those two propositions were supposed to help with homelessness too when it came to the sports betting, and no one voted for it. They all got crushed by a massive margin.
If they had separated them, I think you would have had a better chance.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, even with the new regime coming in, with whoever it's going to be, that it's not a priority of the governor's office to make this a thing.
Do you find it interesting, though, that that L.A., California, the whole state, not just L.A., but California being the second biggest market behind New York, that there was such a fight over sports betting, though?
No, not at all. Me personally, I voted no on those two propositions.
For that reason or for something else?
Well, just that I voted no on it because the money needs to go to other places, not named sports betting, education, infrastructure, homelessness being a huge thing out here.
Well, that I'm all for. That's not the issue. I'm just saying I find it interesting that it's the second biggest market. And
oh yeah, no, that part I totally understand, but I personally just don't think that it's going to come out here anytime soon.
I could see the online coming before.
I mean, all we have out here is daily fantasy is all you can play out here.
No, but I'm saying eventually I could see the online stuff coming before like actual sports books being legal, because you could pick up your phone and you can literally play on a sports book. That's just a legalization of mobile betting. That's all that would be. I think you're right about sports books. I think that's going to be a challenge for a very long time.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing with gambling out here on sports is just like a very, and maybe just and probably because it's just about my own duty away from this network involving where work, who I work
get that.
for.
Yeah,
that's the reason why I voted no on it. Because like if it's not going to benefit me, why should I vote yes on it?
No, you're totally right. Because I get you work in the sports industry. That's a whole different.
More importantly, I work in college athletics. And what did we just have happen with a certain quarterback at Texas Tech?
The only difference I would say is that you're involved on the media-ish / running of the games as opposed to being in the games. I would say that's a little different. But you're right too, that you don't want to get, I guess, like entangled in that web of stuff. So I get that in that regard. But you were right. Those commercials were very interesting that they were in California.
It's very weird that they've had these commercials of like this vehicle driving through all these like, San Diego city limit, LA city limit, and then it says time to celebrate 9/2/26. Like it now again, I think
prediction markets.
We came to the realization last night that the teaser is mainly about before the NFL starts operation, that it's time to start like getting ready for the NFL season. But even then, whoop-de-doo.
Well, it's going to be prediction markets because those are going to be legal in California. So DraftKings will have something in California. It'll just be prediction markets and the daily fantasy. Those are the things that they'll be allowed. Which I don't know if that's really enough of significance to use DraftKings in California, to be honest. But I don't know. It's just one of those things that makes me question, like, why are you running those weird commercials if you can't even you don't have an NFL market anymore there? So why even do that?
Yeah, and when the Padres already have deals in place with Price Picture, Underdog, and
Kalshi.
In Kalshi, which they already do have too. So do the Ducks, and they have one with Underdog as well. And SDFC doesn't have one, but they have a deal with Saquon, which is again an Indian tribe that has a casino out here in my neck of the woods.
Prediction markets is such a cynical description of a seriously corrupt industry. Yes. Bullseye. Agreed. Thank you for the comment. By the way, how do you pronounce that? Ghost of Rituals? Is that how you pronounce that? Okay. Thank you for the comment. Appreciate it. I think that's perfect, by the way, that comment.
Oh, and we have long said that though on this platform and on this network. And the main reason why I don't want to go too far in the weeds about railing against
That's
DraftKings
fine.
is, well, because of what might be at the end of the light at the end of a tunnel, perhaps in a couple of weeks.
No, I get that. But I get where you're coming from too, that it's such like a catch-22 in that regard of, do we accept it? Do we not accept it? Prediction markets, which are totally cloudying the waters for sports betting, because I don't know what's legal and what's not legal anymore. And that's kind of the problem, you would say, right? So we'll see what happens. All right, let's move on. One more topic before we get to the top of the hour here. WNBA announces 2027 All-Star Game at Chase Center in San Francisco. In my opinion, this is not a surprise. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, wow, she actually showed up for something, announced that San Francisco's Chase Center, home of the NBA's Golden State Warriors and the WNBA's expansion of the Golden State Valkyries, will host the 2027 WNBA All-Star Game. The selection underscores the league's rapid commercial expansion into major media markets and modern arena facilities. Golden State's massive season ticket deposit base provides an ideal showcase venue for the mid-season event. Does awarding major events to expansion franchises like Golden State validate the league's aggressive expansion fee strategy?
I think when you have the investment done by and I think that they're right that Valhalla shows up, it makes sense. I could not agree more that you get, Nick, and I saw this real quick, and not to compare apples to oranges, but to see between the Valkyries and also SDFC and Major League Soccer last year, about you get the instant buy-in from a fan base. Like the Bay Area did not have a WNBA team since the Monarchs left, I think, in 2009 in Sacramento.
Long time ago. Yeah.
Long time ago. They won a title there and whatnot. And you've had a fan base, Nick, so starved, though, for the WNBA. And then you have the Warriors go on this 3 titles in 5 years. You build a beautiful waterfront arena in downtown San Francisco that has a view of the Golden Gate Bridge and on the bayfront, and you've made it into Kaiser Permanente Thrive City. You get buy-in right away. Now, again, we both were of the belief, though, that, man, it sucks that the first ever playoff game is in San Jose and not at the arena because they had the Davis Cup come through for tennis.
That was a joke.
Last fall. But, I mean, again, you get instant buy-in, Nick, and look at what you get rewarded with. Now, it's a little bit different. I think it's a bit different, though, as a fellow expansion market in San Diego with SDFC of Major League Soccer. And even when the Wave came here in 2022, the Wave, Nick, played their first 4 months of the season at my university's football field at Torero Stadium. It only held 6,000 people. And they had plenty of nights, Nick, where they had standing room only crowds of like 8,000 people, 7,000 people, and 6,000 plus that were there. Then you go to Snapdragon. The first ever game is with Angel City FC, which is the LA franchise, big rival, of the team. And I'm in the press box, Nick, looking out at Snapdragon with 35,000 people watching a women's soccer game. And I covered that team that, their first 2 years of their existence. And then I covered the first playoff game, 32,500. Then when SDFC comes around last season, virtually, Nick, every game minus those weird Wednesday night games, you're looking at 30,000 people that, again, have been crushed by the NFL leaving this marketplace. But you find the other version of football and you rally around it and you go to the Western Conference Final in your first year as a franchise. I mean, even like the Valkyries last year, they got in the postseason last year. And I think now they're like number 2 in the entire league. And you've got and I think, though, Nick, more importantly, you've got the crossover. You've got Brandon Podzinski, who was at every home game for the Valkyries last season on the sidelines and bringing his own energy as like that 6th man to those home games. And like the commenter wrote, though, that Valhalla shows up and it makes sense, though. And I think why not, though, Nick, go to the new flashy marketplace for the All-Star game? That's why I think, Nick, that I was a little bit ticked off last season. Like, how can you put an MLS team in San Diego and not bring Lionel Messi to San Diego, but make them go out there to play them at the end of September, this season, or have the All-Star game here or whatnot. So for once, Nick, the WNBA got something right. It's a miracle.
And also, Steph Curry has been massive supporter of this team.
Massive.
And
Draymond's been a massive supporter.
you'll see them show up and actually watch the games and be a part of the effort. Also, I think Joe Lacob is just doing it right, which is totally getting it right. And Chase Center looks really good. I mean, obviously, I haven't been in on the inside of it. I'd like to. I was sad when they left the former arena. I thought was a really good.
Oracle, yeah.
I thought Oracle was great. I don't know what they're doing with Oracle, but
the Oakland Arena is just now a concert venue, and they may have a spattering of some WWE shows that come through, but that whole property is long vacated now.
I mean, Chase Center looks really good. I'll give it to them. They've opened it up with all the shopping and everything that they're putting around it.
Mixed-use development property.
That's the big thing now when you build. Look at Citi Field. Steve Cohen is trying to build a casino property and hotels and all this stuff around. It's no longer about just the stadium or the arena. It's about building a community.
And Snapdragon is a bit different because it is part of a college campus now. They are building SDSU West, which includes the shops, the retail, and that. But Nick, what's it also going to have? A senior assisted living facility on campus, and classrooms and student dormitories that are going to take up all this property around the stadium, within the next, I'd say, decade roughly. And they're making progress on one of the first major buildings by the parking lot as you walk into the stadium.
Yeah, like I said, it's all about developmental property along with the stadium or the arena that everyone is building, because they realize that these owners are missing out on goldmine opportunities to make more money. It also leads to more jobs, too, for more people. So it's no longer just about the stadium or the arena. It's about building out around it. And when the All-Star game comes to your place, the amount of money now, I know most of the league makes the money, but it still leads to that market making some money in some capacity.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think back to when the All-Star game for baseball was here 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, man. I hope it's a good game. Golden State is a great fan base. I also like their coach. Was that
Natalie Nicoste?
Oh, I'm thinking of I think that was a former coach. But yeah,
I actually got to work a game where Natalie was coaching in the G League when I did a couple games for the Clippers minor league club in Ontario, California.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good All-Star game. I mean, the W does a decent job with the All-Star weekend as long as they're not worrying about CBA negotiations and missing meetings.
I went to the All-Star game in 18 or 19 in Minnesota. I had a blast. I flew out of here to MSP, linked up with a bunch of my friends from my WNBA fam on Twitter. We linked up. I was staying in suburban Minneapolis, about half an hour away from downtown. Had a friend who lived out there that she'd come and get me every morning to go into the city. We got to go to the open practice and the orange carpet event. We went to a bar that a bunch of WNBA reporters were putting on for after the game was over, and went to Mall of America. Went by the Vikings new stadium where the Metrodome used to be. Saw the Twins play a home game versus Cleveland. I made a whole vacation of it wrapped around the All-Star game, and it was very, very great. People back there were awesome, by the way. And whatnot. And I would love to do it again if the game ever went to LA or Phoenix or to Vegas.
We got to try and get some. You see that comment?
What do reporters drink? I mean, they all were drinking beer usually. Maybe a glass of rosé.
A little bit of wine here and there doesn't hurt. But we'll see what happens. Whether you're backing traditional Big Ten powerhouses or looking for value out west in the Pac-12, college football season isn't just about who wins, it's about who covers. If you want the sharpest news, deep team breakdowns, and the best against the spread angles, before you set your Saturday slate, you need to be locked into Forever Power 5, sorry, Jane Daniels, on the Empty the Bench Network. Join Big Ten insider Zam Bando and Pac-12 expert James Myers every week. Wow, you moved that as I was reading it. As these two classic conferences get acquainted. Are you finished? I'm trying to read here.
Is this the Krusty Krab?
No! This is Patrick! I'm not a Krusty Krab.
Patrick, that's the name of the restaurant.
Huh? Fish paste!
Can I finish now?
Yes.
Join Big Ten insider Zam Bando and Pac-12 expert James Myers every week as these two classic conferences get acquainted. Zan and James break down the biggest storylines, analyze matchups, and deliver the betting edges you need to keep your bankroll in the green. Don't lock in your bets without hearing their take first. Catch Forever Power 5 with Zam Bando and James Myers every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. East. Oh, actually, it's 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific, right here on the Empty the Bench Network, premiering August 26th. Tune in, get the edge, and cover the board. Only on the Empty the Bench Network. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network, to find out more.
By the way, we got the answer wrong. The correct answer is highballs. That is one of those that went like this, whoop, right over the head.
That's funny.
That is pretty good. I'll give him that. Nick, will stay in basketball, but head to Minnesota. Finally, long overdue that the Wolves have announced that Hall of Famer Kevin Garnett will finally have his number 21 jersey retired on February 28th when the Wolves face off with the Boston Celtics.
Are you kidding me? That's right. Who do you think you are? I am.
KG finally becomes the second player in Wolves history to have their number retired, joining Malik Sealy. The announcement marks the resolution of a longstanding personal rift between Kevin Garnett and the franchise leadership following changes in ownership. Nick, away from the ownership problems, though, why do you think it took the Minnesota so long to honor the greatest player in franchise history? And does doing it against the Celtics, though, make it the ultimate retirement night with where he went after he went and played for the Wolves?
Hold on one second. Where's that sound? WNBA breaking news.
Oh, shit.
AZ Fudd will miss the remainder of the regular season and will undergo an arthroscopic procedure to address ongoing right knee soreness.
Oh, that's either scar tissue or that's something else.
Just broke 3 minutes ago from
Damn.
ESPN. They actually weren't having a bad season either.
No, I think without Olivia Miles running the show, she may have been Rookie of the Year.
That sucks. Dallas Wings, who were supposed to be a basement dweller, actually having a good season.
Let me go check the standings real quick.
We'll get back to that story in a second.
They are currently 4 games over 500 and currently holding the last playoff spot against Minnesota.
Wow, so they were actually in the race. Wow.
I mean, they got a 5-game cushion over Portland for the final spot in the standings.
I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs now.
Interesting. They never should have drafted Fudd. Professional malefits could have. Yeah, I agree. They could have had.
Yeah.
Could have had Olivia Miles. Could have had Flage or someone else.
I mean, you and I discussed that topic while back.
Post All-Star game, Dallas fell off hard. I mean, they did.
They did.
They were getting into a rut.
That injury's not going to help them, and I think they might miss the playoffs now, the way that's going.
5-game lead with not much time left, I agree. But with that, Nick, back, though, to KG, having the number retired by the Wolves finally after years of personal rift.
Maybe anger because he won a title with the Celtics? Possibly.
Could be.
Well, and also the whole fledgling turmoil with the Timberwolves ownership was a problem too. The whole Glenn Taylor thing and trying to transfer the ownership eventually to A-Rod and Mark Lowry became a problem. So I think they were too busy worrying about ownership and not about whether they're going to retire numbers or not.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I also think, though, Nick, it's one of those things about time healing wounds. You know, I know that KG didn't really leave the Wolves in that, in like that high regard, and maybe he left the door, hit him on the way out or what have you. But certainly, it's long overdue. It's tough to not tell the story of a franchise when you have a player like Garnett's stature, and then you don't honor it in some way because of maybe some rift involving the franchise. Like, Nick, that was a very big thing about the Padres with their team Hall of Fame. Do you induct Ken Caminiti, who's the only winner of the MVP in franchise history, into the team Hall of Fame when you actually know that he took steroids at one point in the late 90s? Like, do you honor the legacy of the man who won the MVP in 96, or is it about the whole person? And if you can't accept the whole person, then don't bestow the honor upon them. Where again, other than Kevin Garnett, I can't think of any other notable player in Minnesota Timberwolves franchise history other than Malik Sealy and Flip Saunders, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, he should have been retired a long time ago. He's a legend. I think he's one of the all-time leaders in all the stat categories. Excuse me, for the Timberwolves. The only reason he had to leave is because he wanted to go win a title. I think Bucks learned from the KG experience and at least got the pieces together enough to win the title.
2021.
2021, right?
That's Stephon Marbury.
That's funny. I do remember that too. That was like a cup of coffee, essentially. With
this part, though, I agree with 100% that KG in his prime was hella fun to watch.
He was, and I think some people got rubbed the wrong way. I don't understand why, but he was an all-time great. Hey, they called him the big ticket for a reason, right? I mean, now I don't think he was ever going to finish his career in Minnesota because he was never going to win a title.
Right.
He realized he had to get out of town. And when he went to Boston, you had the Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, KG. That was the original big three. And I guess if you want to include Rajon Rondo to be a 4, but I that's a distant 4, I would say. But that team was incredible. Went on to win a title. You saw them in the This Is Sports Center commercial with SVP. The Three Amigos. Huh! Like one of the best This Is Sports Center commercials of all time. But this was long overdue. He was a legitimate franchise player when franchise player actually meant something back in the day. In today's day and age, franchise player means nothing, in my opinion, because you get all these guys jumping around from franchise to franchise. What's a franchise player anymore? Most guys don't last 3 to 4 years on a team. We don't have a Derek Jeter anymore who played 20-plus seasons with the Yankees. I'm trying to think who else really fits that.
Kobe Bryant, Tony Gwynn.
Kobe Bryant, right. Tony Gwynn, who it was sacrilege if they left a franchise. Now, every 2 years, people are leaving in free agency to go somewhere. So I have to look up how many years Kevin Garnett. Let's see. Kevin Garnett, how many years? If I could type how many years in Minnesota.
KG was with the Wolves from 95 to 07.
14 seasons. That's a long time to not be honored, to be respected by the franchise.
And then he came back to play one more year in 15-16 before he did retire.
That goes to show you that you knew he wanted to retire a Timberwolf. He left to go to Boston to win a title, that way for the legacy, which is kind of what happens now. You play for a franchise for 5-6 years. You realize it's make or break once you hit 4 or 5 years. If you haven't won anything, you go off to another team, you win a title or two, and you go from there. At least KG didn't go on national TV to tell us where he's taking steps. Ghost, I love you because I hate LeBron James in every way, shape, or form. So you just made a supporter out of me for you, for sure. To go off that too, I think KG is incredible when he was on TV for TNT, and they gave him the bleep button every time he was going to curse.
That was hysterical.
And there were times when he would forget to hit the bleep button. You know what that tells me also? Why were they not censoring in case he forgot to hit the bleep button?
Didn't they also call his segment Area 21?
Yes, because that was his number.
Like a little play on words of Area 51 in Nevada.
It was incredible. It was great. At one point, you want to laugh. It was KG and Rasheed Wallace at one point. Talk about the two biggest mouths in the NBA at that time. But KG was incredible as a media talent after. And I think he does, I don't know if he still does KG Unfiltered or whatever his podcast is called. Now, him and Paul Pierce were doing content together before Paul Pierce lost his mind.
Yeah. Don't lie, baby.
Paul, don't lie. I get it. LeBron's won more titles. I still think Kevin Garnett is a more sincere player, in my opinion. I think he actually cared about the game of basketball. And I don't think LeBron cared about the game of basketball.
Well, and you should speak from experience, though, Nick, because KG was a net for, 2 years?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. that whole ridiculous trade. What was that? The Paul Pierce trade and all that stuff. Wait, so KG and wait a minute, was Garnett a net?
Yeah, I think they played together between 13 and 15 with the Nets.
Oh yeah, you're right. The 15-16 season, I think it was. Wow, I totally forgot about that. Oh right, because no. Did he play for the Nets?
Yeah.
Oh, it was his 19th season. Because I'm thinking Kevin Durant, because Kevin Durant signed with the Nets and that whole snafu scenario. But this is long overdue. Not even a question.
Yeah, big time, 100%. With that, Nick, we'll stay, though, in basketball to bring an update to the unfortunate news of Brandon Clark's passing earlier in the offseason. And, Nick, after a lot of back and forth, though, but NBA insider Kevin O'Connor confirms that the family of late forward Brandon Clark will, in fact, receive the remainder of his $12.5 million contract on his on the contract through a league-backed life insurance policy payout. The financial mechanism highlights the critical role of league insurance policies, protecting players and their family from unforeseen circumstances in wake of tragedy. The Grizzlies organization and the NBA PA have also coordinated to assist the Clark family through admin procedures when applicable. Nick, does the NBA, though, offer the strongest financial safety net in professional sports when managing player contracts and family protections in wake of Brandon's death back in May?
Yeah, RIP to him, too. Oh, man. I don't know how to feel about this. Like, so the life insurance protected his contract because the team basically said, we're done with this. We're not dealing with it. Now, if he caused his own situation, which I don't know what the full situation is. I think it was a drug situation, possibly. I'm trying to look that up because I did know it and I can't remember the whole situation. I'm trying to see if I can find.
Victoria Hernandez of USA Today wrote back on May 18th on Callan McClurg's birthday.
I found it, but go ahead.
29 years old. He passed away from a possible overdose.
Yeah, it says the cause of death was determined to be accidental combined effects of heroin and cocaine. So he did it to himself.
Yeah.
He had a drug problem, is what it sounds like. So if that's the case, and I'm not saying this to be mean, like, you're not going to earn the money if you did it to yourself. The family is not going to benefit because of a drug problem you had. It's still sad regardless, but like, maybe next time go get help. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree.
Life insurance policies are pretty common in normal business situations too. My lady's higher ed institution has one on her because of her position.
Good to know.
Interesting. I think he had like 12.5 or $13 million left on the contract. I think
12.5.
And he didn't get it through the team. Apparently, the life insurance protected his contract. I didn't even know you could do that. Did you?
I think we hear about injury insurance, I think, in some sports when it comes to injury, but it's also one of those things about how do you handle a player dying in the middle of a season or at all, you know?
I mean, it sounded like he was doing shady things. That's what was going on. Now, you don't wish death upon anybody because that's an awful thing to do.
I agree. Damn shame that they could not get him help earlier.
But maybe he didn't want the help.
I would hate to say it, Nick, but you know, I whenever I think about NBA players like this, I always think about Delonte West.
Delonte West didn't want the help, and Mark Cuban tried to help him because he was a Maverick. I think during the championship run, if I'm not mistaken. I think the Celtics tried to help him too. I think at one point because he was on the Celtics for a while, and I think he tried to go get horse therapy. I think they tried to put him in at one point.
Yeah.
And that just didn't work. West is a try. Yeah. He was like running in the streets and it was a terrifying situation. Watched what was going on with Delonte West.
And I think it came out too, he was also bipolar back in the late 2000s.
Yeah. And he'd rather be homeless than get help, but sometimes mental health is a hard situation. Like, you got to deal with it in a very safe scenario. You don't want to piss somebody off to the point where they do damage to themselves, and it's unfortunate. And being an athlete sometimes leads to mental health issues because of all the pressure and the power, the money. People are relying on you,
Oh yeah.
families, lifestyle. Unfortunately, oh, who's the Dodgers player? Because you brought it up.
Andrew Tolles.
Because that story came to my mind instantly when we were talking about this story. That the Dodgers actually did an incredible thing, and he's not getting paid, but they essentially made him a contract so that he could get the mental health services. I don't know if they're still doing it.
I think they discontinued it though, but they did do it though for quite a while.
Oh, they stopped doing it?
I didn't know.
Those were incredible benefits, though, by the way. One, that the Dodgers were willing to pay for it. Did he get better officially or no?
No, couldn't tell you.
I don't know, man. It's just one of those things where
Yeah, I mean, Josh
John-
Brolin's brother being on the streets.
Yeah.
A lot of people need help. Bartolo could have been the best pitcher slugger since the Bay, but it just couldn't kick the sprinkled donuts. That's good.
Ghost, you're funny, man. I give you credit.
All right, Nick, from all things involving basketball to a trademark war over the phrase of the W. Both the Cubs and Nationals have filed formal legal opposition against the WNBA for trademark rights to the letter phrase the W. The Cubs maintain the iconic historic branding rights over the W victory flag flown at Wrigley Field, while the Nationals hold IP rights around capital W apparel logos. The legal clash now centers on potential marketing confusion across merchandise, digital branding, and commercial broadcast campaigns as the W calls themselves the W around the globe. Nick, can Kathy Engelbert's league defend the W as a distinct brand, or do legacy baseball trademarks hold senior priority in federal courts?
This is one where I say it's above my pay grade in this scenario, but of course, the W has to put itself in the limelight all over again. Let's trademark the W, because a lot of people do call the WNBA the W. You and I call it the W
all the time. Yeah, it's like force of habit.
Do they even know what W means? Oh, that's good. That's funny. Oh, I guess he's referring to the whole because the W won't define what a woman is. But I don't know. First of all, and I spoke to Zan about this because, again, with the Cubs, theirs is just a W, not
Fly the W.
Fly the W. If the Cubs want to trademark something so bad, fly the W. If you want that so bad. Christy says the Cubs have been using W flags for years, long before the W came into existence. Right, but Christy, they should just trademark Fly the W if they
can't define it, but must trademark it. So American. I mean, if anything about trademarks, by the way, being a hockey pundit on this network, I think about the Utah Mammoth, who wanted to call the team the Yeti, but the trademark office said no because you'd be mixing up with the Yeti Cooler Company. Now they're being sued by a Mammoth hockey bag company about the team name and stuff. Like, Utah can't win with this name, with what they pick for their name.
Oh, my God. Oh, well, if it means stealing from the Cubs, I'm cool with it. I don't know, man. These trademark things are ridiculous. Like the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
Now, we'll talk about them later in the show, believe me.
But I'm just saying it's funny with like how didn't they end up in court over the name for crying out loud?
They got sued by the city of Anaheim about the name change.
It's so ridiculous. I mean, I don't know why the Nationals are in this battle. I don't know what their argument is.
You
But
mean their Walgreens drugstore knockoff W logo?
exactly. Thank you. I've been thinking that forever. I wonder if Walgreens has gone after them for it.
It wouldn't surprise me.
But the WNBA has been called the W in some instances.
I think it's gotten more traction like the last few years, but I think I've always known it as the W.
I don't see why the W is being protested for this law.
So we got
trademark.
people trademarking or trying to cease and desist numbers, and now we have letters of the alphabet now being in battles in court.
Yeah. Who would have thought that the number 5, thank you, Pete Weber, number 5, are you kidding me? That's right, would get cease and desisted. And now we're talking about the W. But the Cubs are not the W, so it doesn't make sense.
Fly the W. It's not the same thing.
Unless they're trying to say, oh, well, the W is part of Fly the W, but that's a very semantics-driven
straws.
That's a semantics-driven argument, if you ask me.
All right, Nick, back to the NFL as the season approaches ever so closer. NFL Network, Nick, will in fact simulcast studio shows of NFL Live and Countdown on Monday afternoons throughout the season, but though will not be allowed to air the game of Monday Night Football, which remains exclusively to ABC, ESPN, and of course ESPN Plus. The arrangement allows the NFL Network to trim internal daytime studio production costs while providing ESPN increased distribution reach for its flagship studio talent. Nick, is sharing studio shows between the NFL Network and ESPN a smart efficiency move, or does it signal the eventual sunsetting of standalone league-owned TV networks like the NFL Network, for example?
That's all it is. They don't want to put other programming. Now that ESPN owns the NFL Network, why compete and have competing shows going up against one another during Monday Night Football? Just take what's on ESPN already, NFL Live, Monday Night Countdown, and just simulcast at the NFL Network. This is really a cost-cutting thing.
That's all it seems to me to be.
I mean, you're going to see more of it. Like, I've seen Mina Kimes show up on NFL Network stuff, and you're seeing NFL Network talent show up like on First Take and Get Up and all these things.
NFL Live.
NFL Live. I mean, this is literally a cost-cutting maneuver. Like, why do we need competing shows when the network is owned by Disney, ESPN? There is no need to have competing shows on ESPN and NFL Network anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I get it though. I mean, I think this actually might be a good thing though that you simulcast it. I think it's one less thing to worry about though for the studio coverage of NFL Network, but also, I mean, in a way, it's almost a bit weird that it kind of makes no sense though that you can watch an NFL Network, then you have to change the channel to go watch it on ESPN.
Well, because the contract was originally on the ESPN side. I mean, could they technically simulcast the game to NFL Network? Sure. They just don't want to. Because they don't want to take the eyeballs off of the home station, the ESPN, because they want the numbers still to go to ESPN, because NFL is just a ownership partnership situation rather than it being fully together.
Yeah, so we'll see where that one goes, Nick. We'll keep moving here as we get across to the last half hour of the show. Real quick, really looking forward to their new primetime program. Let's not find out with some clown.
Hey, did somebody say clown show?
Clown show! Clown show! Clown show! Clown show!
I love it. With that, Nick, we'll move over to all things involving golf as administrative and operational headaches continue to mount for LIV Golf, as the circuit is yet to announce their official venue or broadcast details for the season finale for 2026, as unsettled venue contracts, delayed international TV rights extensions, and unresolved merger framework talks with the PGA Tour have created more confusion for team owners and players. The delay now highlights ongoing operational friction within the breakaway league, despite continued backing from the Saudi Public Interest Fund that is in fact coming to a screeching halt sometime soon. Nick, when a golf league like this cannot lock down their title event into the season, how can it build credibility with mainstream sponsors? Just give it up already. Make it stop.
So I have a video that just released about a half an hour ago. This is a Live Golf CEO, Scott O'Neill, responding because there's some stuff going around. So a company called Fresh Tape Media and the league's other unpaid vendors have not been paid. And this is the first response to the media. It's a short video. Let me see how long it is. It's about a minute. Let's take a listen to Scott O'Neill because this apparently gets interesting. So let's take a listen.
Fresh Tape founder, among the reporting that of vendors that haven't been paid, said it's pretty simple. When a small business does work, it deserves to be paid for it. What's your response to that? And how do you get vendors in the next iteration of Live to work with these reports out there?
Yeah, I mean, I come from a family of entrepreneurs, a family of small business entrepreneurs, and know the challenge that is. And so what I would say to them is we're doing everything we can to make sure we can do right by them and the work they committed. And I hope we can. And for the next generation, it'd certainly be a different business with a different process.
I think he did not know what to say.
Can I say that looks like, Nick, that is a look of defeat for LIV Golf right there with Scott O'Neill at that podium in Indianapolis earlier today?
I think he realizes they're up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. They don't have money.
Anymore.
They have a mystery investor, which they still will not say who it is. I saw the comment. We haven't seen a car crash like this since time. Oh my God.
Bleep, 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 coming in hot.
Oh, that's too funny right there. Woo! Basically what that video is telling you is they have no idea what direction they're going.
No, they don't, Nick. And, you know, I think we got to get Alan Shipnup back on our program eventually, Nick, because, I mean, we talked to Alan, I think, you know, months ago when the
Brilliant,
first,
by the way.
The first real rumblings, though, of LIV going down the shitter were becoming to the limelight. And even Alan even said, like, you know, I don't know what else to tell you guys and then what I reported on. And, you know, I remember asking, you know, how is the vibe different? Because, you know, LIV's tried all these, you know, weird gimmicks of, like, you know, making this like a Happy Gilmore movie. There's beach balls and there's live music being played. And
there's a lot of money being in the prize.
A lot of money being thrown around until
which
and then
killed them.
Then you had exactly then yes, to Ghost's question here though, didn't the Saudi PIF pull out? They did.
Yeah. Did the Saudi put that comment up one more time? Did the Saudi PIF thing pull out? Yes. So the Saudi Public Interest Fund pulled out because they realized they were losing their ass on the Live Golf. They put up billions on this league. They were paying guys like Bryson DeChambeau, who doesn't deserve crap because of the way he acts.
I think John Rahm got like $500,000, if not $300 million, to join the circuit when they first broke away from the PGA.
I'm looking it up. Well, I'll give you another one who doesn't deserve to really be mentioned on this show anymore, but Phil Mickelson.
Right.
All right, here we go. John Rahm signed a reported $300 million deal. Phil Mickelson. Phil Mickelson, $200 million. What? So let's keep a tally. That's $500 million already. Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau each received deals estimated upwards of $100 million to $130. So let's say, just for the sake of math, let's just say 100 each. So that's $700 million. Okay, so that's the four that they have. I'm going to look up the rest, but
yeah, because I know they tried to make Rahm like their golden boy when they first formed the breakaway league and whatnot.
So Dustin Johnson got 125.
What?
Now, if you remember the reports I talked about originally, that they tried to offer Tiger Woods like $800 million.
Oh yeah, and Tiger's like, no.
Go F yourself. I'm not getting involved in this Saudi league, which there was all those speculations like of blood money and all this stuff that people were doing. John Daly got a box of Cubans and a 24-pack of Michelob. That's funny. But this money is still owed.
Yeah.
There's a lot of outstanding money, and that's why that someone asked him in the Scott O'Neill at the press conference, like, what's going on with the business? Like, there are vendors that are still not paid.
Yeah, it's brutal.
They canceled the event. What was it, in Michigan?
I think they were actually in Indianapolis at that press
No,
conference.
but they canceled the season-ending event at Michigan.
Yes.
And they took down the prize fund, the amount that was involved in Indianapolis, too. So it's not a good look right now for Live Golf. And I don't know how they survive. Did they really think just giving millions upon millions of dollars was the answer without getting revenue in return?
Yes.
Well, Fox dropped them like a bad habit.
The CW did as well.
Yeah, because there was no money to be made. And also, they didn't want to be involved with the Saudis.
Yeah, I would wake up on a Saturday and try to watch it on Channel 9. I would tune out after one hole. It was so stupid.
It was not worth it.
No. All right, Nick, we'll move back over to the media realm, though, and we have Carl Ravage breaking his silence after the layoff came to him as he broke his public silence, though, regarding his exit from ESPN after decades as the primary studio host for Baseball Tonight and lead play-by-play voice for SNB, the Little League World Series, and also did college hoops over the course of the baseball offseason. Carl reflected on his career, gave gratitude while addressing the network's shifting talent priorities and studio restructuring. His departure marks the end of an era for baseball on ESPN. Nick, does losing someone, though, like Ravage mark the permanent end of ESPN's dedicated daily studio shows for traditional sports like Major League Baseball, for example?
They screwed him. I'm honestly just going to come out and say it. Like, guy's been there for 33 years, and this is how you treat it? Like, he's still... I have the Little League World Series on mute here on my TV, and he's on the commentary for it.
Is he working with Frazier and Mendoza?
No.
No?
I didn't see who the rest of the commentary was, but this is like a disgrace, man. Like, I understand, like, and he has the class to come back and finish a Little League World Series and do the few assignments for Major League Baseball. Like, if that were me, I would have said F you and walked out of there and collected my money and left. I guess 33 years means nothing.
Loyalty doesn't mean jack shit anymore in sports, does it?
Yeah.
College eligibility news is just broken.
Okay.
Former Florida State men's basketball player Alex Steen is now challenging the new 5-and-5 rule, which excludes athletes from the high school class of 2022 who did not take a redshirt year seeking to play in the upcoming season. Alex filed the emergency lawsuit in Leon County, Florida today, requesting a temporary restraining order and of course, Nick, our favorite word, preliminary injunction to prevent the NCAA enforcement that bars his participation. His attorney team highlights that the immediate relief is crucial for roster spots, scholarships, revenue sharing, and NIL deals, with the Seminoles and other schools showing interest if, in fact, he regains his eligibility for one more year of college basketball.
This is getting ridiculous now. I can't even keep track anymore. College eligibility is such a fickle situation. Oh, I'm sorry. I think this has to do with NIL again, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I won't say anything else. That's essentially what my comment is. NIL is destroying this sport.
Nick, we'll move on to the National Hockey League, Nick, but not for probably reasons that you're thinking, though. There is new reporting, Nick, that a preliminary regulatory filing submitted to the Security and Exchange Commission, or SEC, proposes the creation of 32 ETFs tied to each individual NHL franchise. The financial product would allow fans and retail investors to trade shares tied to a team's financial performance, brand value, and on-ice win-loss records on the open stock marketplace. The proposal remains in a preliminary evaluation stage with no official regulatory approval or launch time confirmed. Nick, would allowing retail fans to trade team performance stocks create a engaging financial marketplace or invite major integrity of the game risk for pro sports and even for the NHL?
So this is essentially trading team stocks, essentially, is what we're talking about here, right? I mean, is this supposed to be like a fan-driven thing? What is this supposed to be?
I cannot tell you other than that there's been some sort of filing put forth for the SEC for 32 ETFs for every franchise in the National Hockey League.
Oh, you have that the financial product would allow fans and retail investors to trade shares. Excuse me. So basically, it's allowing fans to get involved in the action of their teams. But isn't this like a form of gambling a little bit in a sense?
And, what's funny, Nick, there was a anonymous poll done in The Athletic amongst, like, a survey of hockey fans.
Yeah.
Nearly 60% of them said that they fear gambling will infiltrate the NHL when it comes to integrity of the game.
Well, yeah, I could have told you that. Like, how is this not gambling? You're betting on shares. The stock market is essentially gambling, if you think about it, because you're betting on it to go up, or you get the people who've been in gambling for too long and they bet on a stock to go down. So I don't know if I love this too much, but maybe it's a way for fans to get involved in the action, maybe?
Yeah, I'm very skeptical about this whole thing, not because I work for or have worked for a NHL franchise in their minor league organization. This, though, Nick, feels like you could be opening up a massive, massive can of worms, though, if this becomes a thing.
It sounds like you're opening up Pandora's box, if you ask me, because you have no. Now, the other question I would ask is, where is the regulatory rules? Where's the regulation? You need regulation for this, because what stops players? What stops ownership from buying their own thing?
Yeah.
Or the media? How about that?
Mm-hmm.
So there needs to be regulation involved if you're going to do this, because there's a shitload of regulatory. The FTC would have to be involved. The Securities and Exchange Commission would have to be involved. So there's going to have to be rules, and they're going to have to regulate this before it can really be done properly.
Yeah, I'm staying away from that as far as I can with like a 10-foot pole, if not further.
For you, I wouldn't suggest it because you work under a franchise.
Believe me, I'm staying away from it as far as I can.
You don't want to deal with the aftermath of that. Trust me, especially since you work under a franchise, I wouldn't.
All right, Nick, back to baseball, and finally some light maybe for the embattled Los Angeles Angels as a bill, Nick, that has gone through the state legislature restricting sports franchises from using city geographic identifiers where their physical stadium is not located, has cleared the final hurdles in Sacramento, is now heading off to the governor's desk up in Sacramento, California. Informally dubbed the Anaheim Angels bill, the law targets team owner Artie Moreno's Los Angeles Angels for utilizing LA in their official team name while playing in the suburban city of Anaheim in Orange County. If signed into law by the governor, the legislation could force a immediate corporate rebrand back to the Anaheim Angels or trigger litigation over municipal naming rights for the ball club. Nick, should a state government, though, be forced to, or have the power to dictate team naming rights, or should team owners have full freedom over geographical branding when it comes to their team names?
This is a weird one because the leagues are fickle about this too, because they don't want to go through a full branding change when a team does it, and then they have to do this whole thing over and over again. But think about this from the standpoint of what happened with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I mean, really?
Yep.
And then they became the Los Angeles Angels.
Just LA Angels, exactly, 10 years ago.
And I'm like, you're in Anaheim, not Los Angeles. And you're trying to be a team that you're not. Now, I had a discussion when we were talking, when I was talking with Zan about the Bears infiltrating Indianapolis.
Correct. Well, Indiana, yes.
I mean, Indiana, but how is that not a geographical disturbance? Remember when the Athletics wanted to move to San Jose and San Francisco said, go F yourself. You're not infiltrating our territory.
Yeah.
So how is this not the same thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know that LA even even passed their own bill about we only recognize teams that are actually in LA County proper. So the Lakers, Clippers, the Rams, the Chargers, you name it, go down the list. They don't recognize the Angels or Ducks being within LA County because they play in Orange, which is not part of LA.
I don't know how to feel about that, really. I don't know. Again, what do I say about all this stuff? It's politicking. This is literal politicking, and whoever has more power is going to come out on top.
Yeah, and I think, though, if this gets signed into law, though, I mean, thank goodness, because now Anaheim gets to claim their baseball team again, and they can really, I think, do a bit more localized branding, because I know that was the thing when they became Anaheim back in 97, was to capitalize on the theme park, obviously, as I've long said about how both teams have been in the city for a long time or whatnot. But I mean, this has been a legal battle, though, since 2005. And the fact it's taken so long for it to finally maybe come to a head here to have a rightful name of this baseball team only makes sense.
Oh, God. Where's that sound? Give me that sound again. Pete Thamel just dropped an interesting piece of news.
What do we got here?
A judge in Louisiana has granted a group that includes 16 football players, including several in NFL training camps this summer, a restraining order to allow them to return to college sports this season.
What?
I'm sorry, what?
So we're going to pull a Chari Darlington from Santa Clara men's basketball, eh?
Why?
What?
You're in NFL training camps. How? Am I missing something here? My opinion is once you make an NFL training camp, there's no going back.
Yep.
Once you get drafted, there really should be no way back.
Yep.
I'm confused.
All right, Nick, we'll move over to press clippings here before we get out of here for the afternoon. We'll start off in college football. Media viewership metrics and ticket demand for Deion Sanders' Colorado football program have now normalized following the explosive media frenzy of the past two seasons after a 3-9 record for the Buffaloes last season. Nick, once the novelty of a celebrity head coach fades, can program branding sustain elite ratings without top 10 national results a la Deion and even, I'd say, Nick, Bill Belichick at UNC?
I think the Deion reign is over. I think because Deion hasn't won anything in Colorado, like people just don't trust the brand process anymore. And I think the whole drama of him like threatening the media the other day.
Yeah, that was uncalled for.
And apparently I read a report that the sheriff's office is trying to serve him for threatening the media, which I don't know how to feel about that, but I think the Deion reign is over. I think it's been a complete failure what he's done in Colorado. Now, I know we've seen videos of him helping students to become men and all that stuff. That's all well and good, fine, but you're there to do a job, right?
You're there to win football games, sadly.
And you're not winning football games. And you were too busy with your son, who eventually got drafted. And then I'm wondering if he even cares anymore now that his sons are drafted. So I would say this is a novelty that it's basically over.
Nick, Stephenville, Texas-based Tarleton State University is actively pursuing a expedited transition from FCS football to Division I FBS football, citing massive upgrades for their facility and also deep athletic funding. Nick, are regional FCS programs like Tarleton State making a mistake, though, rushing up to the FBS level during an era of massive realignment and also, of course, cost running an NIL collective?
So this falls under the category of I'm jumping suit to go make more money. But now you're seeing that these conferences are saying, pay me back because you just screwed me. We've seen this a lot. You realize that, right? We're seeing a lot of teams jumping conferences. Oh, wrong comment there. I don't think so. I think it's great because it gets more eyeballs on the program.
For Tarleton State making the jump, Zan, or about Neon Dion in Colorado?
I think he's talking about the Tarleton State, I would think. I don't like all this jumping around. Like once it's like the NIL. Once you sign a deal, you should not be able to leave. I think, or you have to hold on for at least a year or two.
2 years at least. Oh, about Tarleton State. Okay. Yeah, I'm a bit indifferent about it because I get it about like the jump up to the top level of FBS football. As a fellow FCS employee at USD, we don't offer scholarships for football. We would never last in the FBS ecosystem, and our stadium is too small, and no scholarships for the football program, and other factors, again, not against our will, but like factors out of our control. Jim Harbaugh and his family might be giving us, X amount of money for a new weight room for the athletic department, but that doesn't help us get to the FBS level, nor do we want to go there in the first place.
I think you guys would get crushed if you went that direction. But I don't know. I just don't like all the jumping around, and people are saying, I'm going to exit 2 years before our deal is up. But then you have to pay.
I was going to say, look at the whole debacle with the Mountain West and the new Pac-12.
That whole Pac-12 was a joke. It wasn't even Pac-12 teams at one point. So I think this is ridiculous. Stop with all the jumping around of conferences. Stay in one, build your team, and do the proper marketing to build, and stop jumping around.
Nick, your boy, former WFAN and FS1 morning show host Craig Carden has finalized an agreement to launch a daily sports commentary show on Fox's Outkick platform. Nick, does moving to a digital commentary network give polarizing radio hosts like Carden more freedom, or does it help, or does it maybe shrink their mainstream audience?
You suck, you jackass. You suck, you jackass.
My thoughts on Craig Carden. I mean, he's moving from one Fox entity to another. He was on Red Seed Ventures, which was their podcast network entity. Now he's on Outkick. National platforms have been a disaster for Craig. He had an FS1 show called Breakfast Ball. Originally, it was called the Craig Carden Show or the Carden Show. It didn't work. Then they changed it to Breakfast Ball with Danny Parkins and Mark Schlereth and him. That show didn't work. And then he was off FS1 because he's not a national platform guy. He went back to WFAN. Was pretty successful with it. Still is doing afternoon drive. Now he's going to do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday show streamed on Outkick. Now him and Dan Dockich can go yell at each other if they want to. And I think we're going to be in the same situation. He's going to try this show. Now, he claims his podcast had 100 million views on Red Seed Ventures and stuff. I don't know if I believe that. But all the power to him. If they're willing to sign him to deals, they must think they can get stuff out of him. But he's really a New York guy. That's the only place he's been successful is at WFAN. That's his most successful platform. I don't know if Outkick's going to work.
Last one for the week, Nick. NBC Universal streaming service Peacock announced another monthly subscription price hike across all tiers, marking its fourth price hike in 4 years. Of course, ahead of the NFL season kicking off. Nick, at what point do recurring annual price hikes on single sports streaming services push subscribers towards totally canceling their package?
This has to do with paying $3 to $4 billion for the NBA. It has to do with paying billions for the NFL. Now, do I agree that they should keep raising the prices? No, you're going to price the fan out of watching. But as the prices continue to rise, NFL prices continue to rise, NBA prices continue to rise, where do you think the bill is going to get footed to?
The
It's
consumer.
the consumer. You would think that these companies that make millions upon millions of dollars, that they would supplement some of this a little bit. But no, why would we do that? To make the fans be a little happier. But that's why the prices are going up, because the NBA deal was huge. The NFL deal is huge. And then amongst all the other sports that the NBC, but they're going to have college football with Notre Dame, which is a
College
huge deal in
basketball.
itself. College basketball with the Big Ten. I mean,
2028 Olympic Games.
so everyone thinks like it's simple. It's not. Like they have to pay the bills, and the only way they can do that is with subscriptions.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised about it going up again. I literally had, I've had Peacock when WWE content was on there to watch some old pay-per-views back in the day, or the Olympic Gold Zone during the Winter Games this past February.
Yeah, with Scott and Andrew.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I thought was incredible. Whoever came up with that idea to have them do it together, and I hope they do it again together, because that was brilliant.
In 2028 in LA, that'd be sweet.
But prices are always going to go up. That's just how the way of the world works. Supply and demand. If you've taken a business class, like I'm sure you have and I have,
Oh, yeah.
everything is supply and demand. If you want something bad enough, you will pay the price that it's worth to watch. You want to hit that last thing, and then we'll finish the show?
If you're looking at your weekend radar, there's a massive storm system brewing, and it's bringing a heavy downfall of sharp picks and cold, hard spreads. Forget the boring, old-school pregame coverage. This isn't your granddaddy's regular NFL talk show. You need the ultimate weekend outlook before you lay down a single dollar, and that means you tune into the football forecast right here on ETB. Lead meteorologist and football insider Johnny Montalbano and the entire ETB football crew break down every matchup on the board, from high-pressure defense to low-temperature upset alerts. They deliver a 100% chance of high-value picks against the spread. Don't get caught in the rain on Sunday. Catch the football forecast every Friday during the NFL season at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific time, right here on ETB. Get your forecast, track the lines, and weather the storm all weekend, premiering on September the 11th, only on ETB. Make sure you subscribe today over at youtube.com/ETB Network. Only a few more weeks to go with football content coming back into the fray.
Yep. So we've made it to the end of the show. The 3-hour journey is about to be in the books. Next show, August 26th. And actually, we are going to be on before the first episode of Forever Power 5.
A nice little lead-in to the first college football talk show of the season.
So you'll get us for 3 hours, and then you'll get a small little break, and then Zan Bando and James Myers, Season 3, Episode 1 of Forever Power 5. First full live season of Forever Power 5. 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific, following press row from 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern. So don't miss it. They're going to break down week 0. And then on top of that, heading into the weekend, Gridiron Gridlock is back on Saturday.
Finally.
With Trevor Williams, 10 a.m. Eastern, moving up an hour, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time. So the college football season and the NFL season are officially around the corner. Also, we'll talk about this next week, but just a little bit of update from the 31st, August 31st to September 4th. Most shows will be off that week because that is our back to football season week. We might try to do PR. I have to see how the schedule works out.
Yep.
But most of the shows are going to be off because we have our AFC, NFC previews. We have a fantasy draft coming up from the week of the 31st all the way to September 4th. So we'll talk about this more next week, and we'll let everybody know what the schedule is going to be. Again, another great episode of the Content Dungeon on Monday. Johnny was great, kind of previewing the football forecast and all our football programming. And again, thank you to everybody for helping us get to the 3,000 watch hour goal and beyond as we wait for Google AdSense to wake up and just approve everything already. But we have everything coming your way. We're going to have super chat, super stickers, super thanks, tier level memberships, the ability for bonus content. So in the next week or two, we should have an answer and we'll be able to move forward. But thank you to everybody who's watched. 3,000 watch hours is a huge, huge accomplishment for this network. And now we are less than 1,000 watch hours away to the 4,000 watch hour goals, which is the real YouTube monetization, and allow us to really get moving on potential deals we have behind the scenes that we're working on as well. So don't miss our show next week, August 26th, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Anything else to say before we head out of here?
No, again, great show this afternoon. Looking forward to doing it all over again next week. Thanks to the over 170 people who stayed with us for the entire program today.
Yeah, so like I said, don't miss our show next week, August 26th, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Maybe you'll have some news from the Padres press conference, hopefully.
Let's hope.
If that works out.
It
would be fun. Be fun to get an interview with them. It really would, if there was a way. But that's news hopefully we could talk about next week. I'm trying to think where we're going to be, like in the media side when we get, I guess we'll have to, talk about just all the NFL stuff coming up from a media perspective, just kind of what to expect for the season and go from there. You already said Cranium is going to be Monday into Tuesday next week, just in case people didn't hear that last night, day earlier. So don't miss that as well.
Exactly.
Make sure you follow our show at Press Row ETB across all social media platforms. We're going to try and put out some more clips. We haven't really done that. You're seeing it on the network platforms. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB network. And like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell as well. All right, that'll do it for the show. He's Callan McClurg. I'm Nick Morgasen. Until next week, have a good week. We will see you then.